Secure Authentication, Role-Based Access Control, Admin Dashboard. Welcome to the ultimate Next.js 16 4 hours long crash course where we will learn everything about Next.js 16. We will start with the Next.js fundamentals and level up to build a production-ready team access control system from scratch, both the backend API and the front-end dashboards. Let me show you the topics that we are going to cover in this video. So we will first start with the create next app and we will do our project setup. After we have our project setup, the next thing we will see is what will be the best file and the folder structure for our project. After that, we will understand the pages and the layout. What will be the view? What will be the page layout for our application? Next, we will understand about the app router, how the app router helps us to build the pages and navigations. We also understand about the dynamic routes and grouping. Next we will do is the Prisma setup, where we will be having our schema for the database and we will be having the Prisma client, which will allow us to connect with our database. Next we will be using the Postgres database and we will have the setup for it to contain all our data related to our application. Now once we have our database and the Prisma schema ready, we will be creating the API routes for our project. Next we will have the setup for the JWT token for authentication, and we will also understand what is the cookies and the session management. After that we will be having our login and the register flow that will allow the users to register and log in to use our application. Next we are going to have the protected routes, so some of the routes will be only accessible to a logged in user. After that we will be having the server and the client components. We will understand which components needs interactivity. We will make them as a client components, and some of the components we can keep it on the server side. Once we have that, the next thing we will do is we are going to make the setup of the role-based access control. So we will be having different types of entities like the admin, a user or a manager, and each of them will be having their specific views. After that we will be having the context API that is going to manage a centrally authentication state for our application. Next we will understand how we handle the forms using the React 19 use action state hook. After that what we will do is we are going to have our APIs integrated with our user interface. After that we will be having the role-based dashboard. So for every entity, whether it's an admin, manager or a user, and each of them will have their own dashboard where they will have the data depending upon the roles they have. Next we are going to have the server mutation. So whenever the user is promoted or we add a new user or a member to a team, we are going to see instantly how we mutate the state, and in the end we will be having our fully functional full stack application. So we are going to do the app testing for our application. You can find the timestamp in the description of the video so that you can jump to any topic directly. So if this sounds interesting, then stick around. Also don't forget to subscribe to the channel or press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. So let's get started. Alright guys, so before we start writing code in the Visual Studio Code, let me give you a walkthrough of the application that we are going to build. So we're going to build the Next.js Team Access Management. This application will be divided into two parts. One, you will be having the APIs and the database connection, and the other part will be the user interface. Now let's take a closer look on the backend side. So we will be having an auth module, which is going to have all the login, logout, and all the endpoints related to the authentication. Then we are going to have the user module, which is going to give us all the users and where you can also make the assign a user to a team or role. Then you're going to have the library folders, which is going to contain some helper functions. You will be having a Prisma ORM, which is going to connect with your Postgre database. Now here is another view where in the auth module you're going to have different routes like login, register, logout, and me. For the user module you're going to have the users, teams, and roles, and then the helper functions will be for the JWT access token, cookies, and DB connect. Now next, what API routes we are going to have is for the authentication we are going to have the same /register, login, logout, and me. For the users we are going to have the users where a user, if you have a particular user, you can assign that user to a team, or for a particular user you can assign a new role. So let's say the user was having a role as user, but now this employee has been promoted to a manager, so you need to change his role as manager. Now these are the roles we are going to have in our application. We will be having the admin role, manager role, and the user role. And these are some of the accesses which we will have, like the user details, team details, assign role, assign a team, and remove team. So now we have a basic understanding of our application. Let's go to the Visual Studio Code and let's bootstrap our Next.js application. So if I open the terminal, then we see that we already have a Next.js application bootstrap. I will just open the project in the Visual Studio Code. All right, so this is our project. I will just give you a quick walkthrough of it. So this is our tsconfig file, which is containing the TypeScript configuration for our project. Then we have the post CSS, which is the Tailwind configuration for the application. We will be having package.json, which contains all the dependencies, dev dependencies, and the scripts. Then we have the next config, which is going to contain some additional configuration if you required for your next project. We have a public folder which contains all the files and the assets. We have the node modules, we can ignore them. Then we have the app, and inside the app you will see that you have the layout, page.tsx, and your global CSS. Now if you want to run the application on the local servers, then we can just use the npm run dev, and this is going to start the application on the localhost 3000. We can go and quickly check the Next.js application. Now for this project we will need a couple of tools. One is obviously the VS Code which we are using, and we will be using Next.js. So for Next.js you will need the Node.js installed on your machine. Apart from that, you will also need to install the Postgre database. So you can run it in the Docker or you can have it on the local. I am running it on my local machine, and this is how you can just install it. I just followed the instructions and installed it in my local machine. Now if you want to see the local database, so this is how it looks like. I'm using PostgreSQL 17, and you can just install it. Now apart from that, we will also be using the Prisma ORM, which will help us to create our tables and then connect with the Postgre database. And you will also need a REST API client. Since we are going to build the backend part of it, we will have the multiple APIs. So in order to test that, you will need a REST client. So I'm using Requestly. It's a lightweight, Git-friendly API client, and it's built for modern developers. So it's easy to use, and you can have a nice UI which you can just use it. It's very similar to the Postman, but you can say it is a lightweight API client. So you can click on try now, and I'm using a Chrome extension. Click on the Chrome and then you will be able to get it. So if I click here, I already have it, so I can just go and start. So I will click on the open app, and you will see that my application is here. All right, so we'll be using this to test our APIs. All right, so now let's go back here, and now what we will do is the first thing, we will be starting it by creating the folder structure that we will need. So what I will do is first we will have the auth module, and in the auth module we will have our login. Then we are going to have the logout, we're going to have the register, and we are going to have the me. Okay, now apart from this auth module, the other one we had is the, before that we will just create an API, because these all are API routes. So I'm going to move the auth to the API. Okay, and now in the login I'm going to create the route.ts. Similarly for logout also it will be a route, so we will have to create a route.ts. For me, I'm going to create route.ts, and for register let's create the route.ts. So I will have the route.ts. Now apart from the auth, there will also be the users. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to create user. Now we will get all the users, so I'm going to have a route.ts for the user, and then we also have an user, a particular user. We can assign a role to that or assign a user to a team. So for that, I'm going to create a slug with the user ID. Now inside this one, I'm going to have a role. If you're assigning a role, then let's create a route.ts. Now if you're assigning a team to a user, then you're going to have a team, and I will have a route.ts. We will see them in a later when we build these endpoints. All right, so we have all the endpoints that we will need for the user and for the auth. Now the next thing we will do is we are going to install all the dependencies that we will need for this project. So what I will do is I'm going to have a new tab here, and here so let me have the npm install, and we will be needing first the Prisma client. So I will have the Prisma client, then we will have the Prisma, we will need the bcrypt so that we can store the hashed password, and we will need a JSON web token. I'm going to hit enter. Alright, so these dependencies have installed. Apart from that, we will also need some dev dependencies for our types. So I'm going to have the npm install -d, which is dev dependencies, and we are going to have the types for bcrypt.js, and we will have the types for JSON web token. So we will have the JSON web token. I'm going to hit enter. Oops, I made a mistake, and there was a spelling mistake for the bcrypt, so I will just fix that, and I'm going to hit enter. All right, so these are also installed. We can go in the package JSON and we can just verify that these are the types we have installed, and these are the dependencies that we have installed. You will also notice that we are using Next.js 16 and React 19 for this project. So make sure when you build the project, you should have a same version of the Next.js and React, otherwise you might encounter some breaking changes. So now what we will do is I'm going to create all the folders remaining. So I will have my lib folder where all the helper functions will be there. Then I'm going to create the types folder. So let me have the types folder. Now inside the types, I'm going to create the index.ts. Now let's create the types that we will need for our project. First, I will need the role. So I'm going to create a enum for that. So I will have an enum of role. Now what roles we are going to have? We are going to have the admin. Then we are going to have the manager. Then we are going to have the user, and we are going to have the guest. Now apart from the roles, we will also need a interface for the user that we will have. So I'm going to have the interface user, and what all things we need for that? We will need the ID for the user, we will have the name, then we are going to have the email, then we are going to have the role, then we will have a team. So a user will be associated to a team, so we will have a team ID, which will be a string. And when you create a user, it could be that the user is not assigned to any team, so we can have it as an optional. Then we are going to have the team to which it is assigned, so this is going to be an optional and string. And after that, we are going to have the created at, which will be a date, and we're going to have the updated at, which will be a date. All right, so we have this. Now the team is a string, it should not be a string, it should be of type team. Now let's create the interface for the team. So I'm going to have the export interface team, and in the team what we will need is we will need the ID of a team, then we are going to have the name of the team, so this is be a string. After that, we will be having a description of the team, so this description can be an optional, so I'm going to have it as a string, or it can be a null value. Okay, then we are going to have the code, so every team will have a code, and after that we are going to have the members. So the team will have few members, and those members will be of type user array. So a team can have multiple members, so that's the user array. And then we are going to have the created at, which is a date, and we will have the updated at, which will be a date. All right, so we have this types created. We have the role, we have the user, and we have the team. Now next thing what we are going to create is we are going to create the Prisma schema. So that schema can be used in order to connect with our database and then create the tables and everything. So what I will do is I'm going to go to the root folder, and here I'm going to create a folder with Prisma. Now inside we need to create a schema, so I will have the schema.prisma. Here we will create all the entities that we are going to need for the project. First we need to generate the client, so for that we are going to use a generator, and we will be having a client. Now our client will be the Prisma client, so I will have a provider, and here I have to give the Prisma client JS. Now you must be wondering that how I'm getting the suggestions and everything. So I'm using an extension. So if I search for Prisma, then I am using this extension which helps me to highlight and do the formatting and give suggestions. Now after the client, you will need to have a data source. So I'm going to have the data source DB, and there will be a provider. So for our case, it's the Postgre. So you have a couple of providers. You have the Cockroach DB, MongoDB. I have a PostgreSQL because we are using that one, and we need to give a URL. So this URL will be fetched from the env. So I will have a database URL here. We are going to add this database URL in the environment files soon. Now let's create the first model. So our first model is the user model. So I'm going to have the user, and what all details we will have in the user model. We are going to have the ID of type string, and this will be having a ID. So let me have the ID, and then what we will do is we are going to keep it as a primary key, and we will have to have it as a default. We will not be generating by ourselves. We want it auto generated. So we will be using the CUID. Now after that, what we will need is the email. So the email will be of type string. So let me have the string, and this will be a unique value we want. So I'm going to have it unique constraint here. Then we are going to have the password. Password will be of type string. After password, we will be having a name, which will also be of type string. Then we are going to have the role, and this role will be of type role. All right. And I'm going to have a default role as user. So whenever you create a user, you will have a default role as user to that user. Then we will be having the team ID, and this is going to be a string, but it will be an optional. And we will be having a team which is of type team, and this will also be an optional. So this team is going to have a relation with the user and a team. A user can go to a team can have a multiple user. So we are going to do that one. Now if we go for the relation, what we have to do is I'm going to have the relation on which field. We are going to have a relation on the team ID. Then we're going to have the references, which is the primary key. So I'm going to have the ID, and then we need to have on delete. So whenever you delete a team, the user assigned to team, that will become null. So I'm going to have a set as null. Now after that, we will add some timestamps. So I'm going to have the timestamps, and in this I'm going to have the created at, which will be of type date time, and these will be created automatically. Whenever you insert a record, these will be created. So I'm going to have now, and then I'm going to have the updated at, which will be of date time, and this is going to be updated at. Okay. Now apart from that, we will also need to do some performance tuning. So for that, what we will do is we are going to put indexes on the fields that we are going to look up most of the time. So I'm going to have the indexes, and we can put by @ index. Now you need to say which column you want to put the index. So since the email is the unique, so I'm going to use the email. Apart from that, I'm also going to use the index on the role. So I'm going to have the role, and then I'm going to use the index on the teams. So this is going to be team ID. Okay. Right now we don't have a role, that's why it's giving us a error, but we will soon have it. And then last, you need to have the map. So what will be the table name? You need to map this model. So I'm going to have a map, and the table name will be users. All right. So we have this one. Now maybe I will just do a little bit alignment here. All right. So I did an alignment. Now we need to make a similar thing for the teams as well. But before that, we need to create a Prisma role as well, so that we can have that role problem solved. So what I will do is I'm going to create a enum here again, and this will be of type role, and it is going to have the admin, manager, user, and we are going to have the guest. So now you will see that we don't have any problem with the role here and here as well. Now let's create the model for the team. So I'm going to just copy and use the same for the team as well, and I will just do some modifications. So I'm going to copy, I will go here, and I'm going to have here, this is going to change to teams. We don't want any indexes on the teams, and we will have the ID in the team, which will be the default. We are going to have the name on the team, so I'm going to remove these two, and that name would be unique, so I will have the unique. Then we are going to have the description on the team, so I will have the description here, and this description will be of type string. So let me change this to string, and this will be an optional, so it can have a value and it cannot have a value. We're going to have the code for a team, which will be a string, and this code is going to be a unique value, so I'm going to have the unique. Then we are going to have the members, and the members will be the user array. So we are going to have the user array, and then we can just remove this relationship. So I will remove it, and we will have it here. And let's change this to a team model. Okay, so we have the schema ready. We have the client, data source, user, and then we have the model for the team, and there is an enum role. All right, so now in order to generate the Prisma client and the database and everything, what we need to do is we need to add few scripts in our package.json file. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to add few scripts here. Okay, so the first script will be to generate. So I'm going to have db generate, and this will be npx Prisma generate. So this is going to generate the Prisma client and everything. The next will be db push. So I'm going to have the db push, and this will be equals to npx Prisma db push. And I will need one more, and that will be db seed. So I will have the db seed, and this is going to be npx tsx prisma slash seed dot ts. And this one we will be using if we want to seed the database with some initial data. So I'm just going to create a file, and we will not write any script at the moment, but we will just keep the file and keep it here. All right, so we have this one. Now what we will do is since our schema is ready, let's give the data URL. So if I go here, then we need to give the database URL here. So let's create the .env file. So I'm going to go here. I will have the .env file, and I'm going to copy that data URL. So I will copy, go to env, add it here, and then we need to give the database URL. So I will copy the URL here for the database. So this is a PostgreSQL. This is my username, which is Postgre. My password is also Postgre, and it's on the local host. This is the port where it's running, and this is the database that I want to get created. So I'm going to save it. Now, since we have this, what we can do is now we can generate our client. So if I go to package.json, then we can just use the db generate, and let's see what happens. So I'm going to have npm run. I will have db generate, and this is going to generate the Prisma client for us. So I'm going to hit enter, and here you will see that it says generated Prisma client, and start by importing your Prisma client and need your database queries, something, and that's all. Now what we can do is, since we have already generated this, now we can just make a db push, and when I make a db push, this is going to create my database in the Postgre. So I'm going to have here db push and hit enter. And here you will see that it has picked the environment variables loaded from the .env. It's reading the schema.prisma file, and a Postgre database team management DB is already created, and then we can just use this DB. Now if you want to go and check, what I will do is I'm using this Postgre extension for the VS Code. So if I click on this, then you will see that it's getting connected, and these are all my local hosts and the local servers. So I will go to the database, and here you will see that we have this team management DB. If I click here, if I go to the schemas, if I go to public, then you will see we have the tables, teams, and the users. If I go and select it, then I will not get any data, because there is no data inside these tables. But at least we have our tables created. This part is done. Now what we will do is we are going to create a helper function which is going to show us that the database is connected or not, and then we are going to transfer that status to a REST endpoint, which will be the application health endpoint. So let's do it so that you can understand. So if I go here, if I go to the lib, here I'm going to create a db.ts, and here what I will do is I'm going to have export constant Prisma, and I'm going to create a new Prisma client. Okay, after that what I will do is I'm going to have my database helper function, and here I'm going to create a export async function. All right, and the function name will be check database connection, and this is going to return a promise with a boolean. So I'm going to have a promise, and I will get a boolean here. All right, now what I will do is we're going to do a try catch block here, and here we are going to just make a simple select query to check the connection is established or not. So I will have a prisma dot, and we have a query raw. All right, and on this query raw we can have a select one. Now if this is okay, then it's going to return a true, but if there is any problem, in that case it's going to have a console.log, or maybe we console the error. So let's console the error, and here I'm going to have database connection failed, and we can just have the error. And what we will do is we need to return false because it's expecting a boolean. So I'm going to have a false here. So we have done this. Now what we will do is we are going to expose this check database function status with the help of an endpoint. So I'm going to go here in the API. I'm going to create a folder which will be a health, and inside the health I'm going to use a route.ts. All right, now I'm going to have a export async function. So I'm going to have async function. I'm going to name this as get. It will be a get endpoint. It is not going to take any parameters. Then I'm going to have a constant is connected, and we are going to make the call to that function which we have created for the database. So we will have the check database connection. So this is going to give us a boolean true or a false. So if it's a false, then in that case what we will do is we are going to return a next response dot JSON, and in this we are going to have our status as error, and then there will be a message, and we are going to have database connection failed, and let's give the status as well. So I'm going to have the status as 503. But if this is not the case, then in that case we are going to return a positive response. So this is going to be a status as 200, database connected successfully. Instead of error, this is going to be okay. All right, so we have this endpoint. Now if we want to check this endpoint, what we can do is we can go to requestly. So let me check if the local server is working. Let's go to the requestly here, and here I'm going to create a new request. So I'm going to just rename it, and this will be a health, and this gets changed to http://localhost 3000/API/health. I will save, and if I hit send, then you see that the status is okay, message is database connected successfully. Now what I will do is I will go here and I will stop my database. Okay, this is stop. Now if I send a request, then you will see the status is error, and you will see the database connection failed, and we get 503 service unavailable. Okay, let me just start back. All right, if I send it again, then we see okay, database connected successfully. So this part is done now. Now let's go back to Visual Studio Code, and what we will do is we are going to start with some helper functions in our library which will be related to the generate a token, verify token, hash passwords, and all those. And those will be very useful when we are going to create those endpoints that we have. So I'm going to go here, create a new file as auth.js. Oops, it should not be JS, it should be TS. So I'm going to change this, and it will be a TS. And before we start writing here, we need to have a JWT secret in our env file. So what I will do is I'm going to go here, and I will have JWT secret, and here I'm going to have JWT secret key minimum 32 chars. Okay, so you need to give some meaningful and a secured JWT secret. I'm just giving it for the demo purpose. Okay, so let's start with the helper function. So first I will have a constant hash password. So we will be using bcrypt library to hash our password, because we don't want to store the raw password in our database. So I will have a password which I will receive it in the form of a string, and this is going to return a promise. This is going to be a string. The hash password is also a string, and this is going to be returned. We are going to using the bcrypt. So let's have the bcrypt dot hash, and we need to pass the raw password, and we need to pass a salt value. You can pass 10 or 12, whatever number you like. I'm passing 12. Now once we have the hash password, we will also need to have a verify password. So I'm going to have here verify password, where you will be receiving a normal password, which is a raw password. Along with that, you will be receiving a hashed password. This will also be of type string, and in that case you will be receiving a boolean whether it matches or no matches. And here you will have a compare, and you need to compare the hash password. All right, so we have these two functions. The next function I want is to generate a token. So I'm going to have export constant generate JWT token. So I will have the generate token, and whenever you want to generate a token, you need to pass some payload to it. So in our case, the user ID of type string will be a payload, and this is going to return a string which is be a token. Token is a string. All right, then here what I will do is we are going to have a return. We will be using JWT, so let's import that. So I'm going to go here. I will have import JWT from JSON Web Token. So I'm going to have the JSON Web Token. So here we will have the JWT dot sign, and you need to pass the payload first. So I will have the user ID as payload. Then I will have to pass my JWT secret. So to get the secret, what we can do is we can have a constant JWT underscore secret. This will be coming from the process dot env dot JWT underscore secret. Okay, so let's use that JWT secret. Then after JWT secret, we need to have the expiry when the token will expire. So it is going to expire in 7 days. So I will have the 7 days. Okay, so I'm going to put this exclamation here because it can be an undefined. So we have this generate token. Now similar to generate token, we will also have a verify token. So I'm going to go here. We are going to change this to verify token. And in the verify token, what you will expect is you're going to expect a token which will be a string, but you will return whatever you decode from that token. So you will be returning a user ID that is inside that token. So you need to decode and all those. Then what we will do is we are going to return, we will be verify, and we are going to verify the token. So let me have a token. You will have a JWT secret. Okay, and then what you will do is you're going to cast this as a user ID. So I will have the user ID of type string. All right, so you have all these helper functions. Now the another function that we will need and which will be very important is to get current user. And for that, what I will do is I will have the export constant get current user, and this is going to be an async arrow function. It is not going to accept any parameters, but it is going to return the user object. So I'm going to have the user. This is going to be a user, or it will be a null. And this get current user will be very useful whenever we will write the API, which will be the auth/me, where you will get the information of the logged in user. So let's go here. And whenever you need to get the current user, what basically you are going to do is whenever a request comes, you are first going to get the token from the cookies. Whenever you do a login or whenever you register, we are going to set the token in the cookies. So that's where when you call this function, you're going to get those cookies. So what I will do is I'm going to have a try catch block. And first of all, let me get the cookie store. So I will have the cookie store will be equals to the await cookies, which will be coming from the next header. Okay, now once you get a cookie store, you can extract the token. So I will have a constant token which will be equals to the cookie store dot, you can use get, and the name. So property name is a token. You will need to get the value of it. Now let's say if there is no token, that means a user is logged out user and still trying to call a /me endpoint. In that case, there is no token. So we are going to send the user as a return, and we are going to return null. Now, if we have a token, we need to decode and get the information. So we are going to have a decode. We will have a verified token, and in the verified token we are going to pass the token, and this is going to return us the user ID. So now once we get the user ID, we need to find the details of the user from the database. So I will have a constant user from DB, and this is going to equals to, let's have the await. Now we connect to the Prisma client. So I will have the Prisma dot our user dot, we need to find with the unique. So find unique where, so let's have the where clause where the ID should be equals to the decode dot user ID. All right, so that's how we will get that user from the database. Now if there is no user in the database, so if this is not available, we are going to return null. But if it is available, then in that case what we will do is we're going to destructure the password from it, and then we will have the remaining user like this. and this will be the user from DB. Now why we are doing this? Because when you return a response for this get current user, you don't need to pass the password also to the user, although this password will be a hash password, but we don't want to pass that. So here now what we will do is we are going to return user as user. So this user should get imported here like this. Okay, but if there is an error, so in that case what we will do is we will do a console error, and we will have the error here, and let's have the error. Okay, and then we are going to return, so let's return the null because we don't have any user now. So this was the get current user. Now along with that, we will also need one more helpful function which is very useful, is to check the permission of a user, whether the user has a permission or not. I'm going to have the export constant, and we will have the check user permission. Okay, now if you want to check a user permission, you will need the user information first, for which user you have to check the permission. So this will be of type user, and another one will be the required role, that whether this user have this required role or not. So this is going to be a role. Now once you have these two, this is going to return a boolean true or false, whether the user have a particular role or not. Now what we will do is I'm going to create a role hierarchy here. So I will have the hierarchy, and this is going to be an object. So this is simply I'm going to create and assigning a number to each of the role. So I will have the role dot guest first, and this is assigned 0. Then I'm going to have the role dot user, this is assigned 1. Then I'm going to have the role dot manager, this is assigned 2, and the last one is the role dot admin, which is assigned 3. This is the role hierarchy. The highest number will have the highest access. Now what we will do is we are simply going to return true and false here. So here we are going to have that role hierarchy spelling is incorrect. So I will have the hierarchy of the user role. So I will have the user role. This is greater than equals to role hierarchy of the required role. All right. If this is greater, then it's written true. If not, then it will return false. So we are done with our all the helper functions that we will need for the authentication part. Maybe the next thing we do is we start writing the registration API that will allow us to create some users in the database table. Alright, so let's go to the auth, and I will go to the register, and I will go here. So in this register API, let's have the export async. We're going to have a function, and this will be a post, and this is going to get the request. So I'm going to have a request of next request. Now once we get the request, first thing we will do is let's have a try catch block, and inside the try catch block we are going to destructure the request body. So I'm going to have a constant. Whenever you want to create a new user, you need to have a name, email, and password, and this will be equals to the request.json. All right, I'm going to use a wait here. Now once we have this, let's validate them. So I'm going to have the validate required fields, and in the validation we will check that if we don't have name, or if we don't have email, or if we don't have password, then in that case we are going to have a return next response dot json. And what response we are going to give back is we are going to have the error, and in the error we will have that name, email, and password are required or not valid. Okay, and then we are going to have the status. So the status will be 400. Now once these details are valid and we get the name and everything, we need to check that whether with this email address there is already an existing user registered or not. So for that, what we will do is we're going to have find existing user, and I'm going to create a constant existing user equals to await. Let's check in the database. So prisma dot user dot find unique, and put a where clause, where email. All right, so now if there is an existing user, then in that case we are going to return a response. So I will just copy this and I will put it here, and here what I will have is user with this email address exists. So if this is existing, then we will have it that the user already exists. All right, so this should not be 400, this should be 409 because the record already exists. And the next what we will do is whenever you create a user, you also have a team code, which we have just missed it here. So I will have a team code here. So whenever you create a user, you can also assign the user to a team at the time of creation. So when you have a team code, we need to find the team ID so that we can put it in the user object. So what I will do is first let's have the team ID, which is going to be a string or it will be an undefined. Okay, now after that what we will do is that if we have a team code, so if we are providing a team code, then in that case we need to get the team based on that team code. So I will have the await prisma team dot find unique, and this we are having unique because the team code is a unique. So if I go to the Prisma schema, if I go to the code here, then you will see that the code is unique, so we can make a check on that. So we can go here and have a where clause. In the where clause we are going to have the code as team code. Okay, now if we don't find a team, so let's say that there is no team, that means the team code provided is not a valid team code. So here we can give that response back. So I'm going to copy this response and come here, and here we will say that the please enter a valid team code. Okay, and this will be 400 because this is a client side error. Now once we have this, and if we find the team, then we can just assign the team ID the actual ID, so it will be from the team ID. All right, now I see there is an error. Team ID is assigned a value but never used, and type string is not assignable to type number. Okay, so this should be like this. So we get the team ID. Now the next what we will do is, now it's time to hash the password because everything, all the matches have been done. Now we need to create the user. So I'm going to have a constant hashed password, and this is going to be a wait. We're going to call the hash password function. So I'm going to have the hash password function, and let's pass the password. So we pass the raw password and we get the hashed password. Now we need to make sure that whenever we are creating a user for the first time, so it's a first user, we make him as an admin. So I'm going to have the first user become admin, others become user. Okay, so first we need to get a count. So if the user count, which will be equals to the await prisma user dot count. Okay, then what we have to do is we need to assign a role, and this will be that user count is equals to 0. Then you have a role dot admin, else you will have a role dot user. Now let's create the user. So I'm going to have a constant user will be equals to the await, and we're going to have our prisma dot user dot create. Now to create a user, what it expects is it expects a data, and this data will be an object. Now to create a user, you will need to provide a name, you will need to provide an email, you need to provide a password, which will be a hashed password, not the raw password. Then you will need to have a role, and you need to have a team ID. All right, now once you create this user, I also want that the teams is also fetched along with the users. So what I will do for that is you come here and you use an include, that in the same creation, after creation you fetch the teams as well for that particular user. So I will have a team and I'm going to create true. All right, so I see that we have a problem here and it says team. So maybe we made a mistake in the schema. Let's go and let's check. So if I go to the schema, this should be team. All right, so this should be team. Now we have changed the schema. So what we have to do is we need to do a db push. All right, now we have done the db push. Now we should be able to get the team here. So the schema is updated. If we go here back, we get the user is created. Now once the user is created, the next step for us will be to generate the token for that user. So let me have the generate token. And to generate a token, what we will do is we need to have a constant token. We will have a generate token function, and this generate token function accepts the user ID. So the user ID will be this user dot id. So I'm going to have this user dot id. Now after generating the token, we are going to create the response. So I'm going to have create response. So let me have a constant response is equals to the next response dot json, and in this we are going to have our user. So I will have the user object, which is going to have an ID will be equals to user ID. Then we are going to have the email. We get it from the user dot email. Next we are going to have the name. We are going to get the user dot name. Then we are going to have the role. We're going to get it from user dot role. Then we are going to have the team ID. We are going to get it from the user dot team ID, and we get a team. We will have the user dot team. So you will see that now you have the team here because we have included the team here. If we don't include it, then we will not have the team here. And at last, I can also give a token, although it's not necessary because we are going to set this token in the response cookies. All right. So we have this one as a response. Now what we will do is we are going to set the cookie. So let me have the set cookie. And in the set cookie, whenever we send the response, we are also going to have the cookies on that. So I will have the cookie set. Name of my cookie is token and the value is token. Oops, this should be comma. And along with that, we also need to pass the HTTP. So let me have the HTTP only will be true. Then we are going to have the secure. I will have the process env node environment is triple equals to production. So for our development, it is going to be a false so that we can access this with the HTTP instead of HTTPS. Then we have the same site. It will not be restricted. We are going to keep it as Lex, the same site cross request, and then we will have the maximum age our cookies will be live. So that will be 60 seconds into 60 minutes into 24 hours into 7 days. All right, so we have that, and in the end we can just return the response. So I'm going to have return response. Okay, but if that's not the case and you get some error, we're going to have the console error, and here we are going to have registration failed. Okay, and along with that we are also going to return a response. So we're going to have the next response dot json, and here we are going to have the error. We will have internal server error, something went wrong. Okay, and for that the status will be 500. So let me give a status as 500. So our registration API is completely done. We can see that we have done a lot of things. We have first validated the request body, and we check the existing user whether the user exists or not. Then we have the team code, so we need to find the team ID for that to make a query to the teams table and then get the team information. Once we get it, we set the team ID. After that, we did the password hashing because we don't want to store the raw password in the database. Then we see that if the user creation is the first time, then we make him as an admin. Rest all the users will be having a user role. Then we create the user, we fetch the team's information as well. We generate the token, we put the response, and we also put the token in the cookies, and then we return the response. Now we can give a try. If I go here and let me create a new endpoint first. So I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to rename this as registration or register. So I will have the register, and this is going to be API auth register. I will change this to post, and let's go here and let's have a JSON object. And here what we will pass, we will pass the name as Deepesh Malviya. Then we are going to pass the email, and we pass the email as deepesh@gmail.com. Then we are going to have the password 6, and then we are going to have the team code. So I will have a team code as null. All right, now let me save and let me give a try. So I'm going to send, and we see that we get an internal server error. That's good. Let's go and find out what is the problem. So if I go here, and if we go here, if I go to the node, so we get a registration failed and we get 500 error. So let's go and let's check. If I go back here and let me make a JSON properly. So if I have it this one, because I have a doubt in my JSON, so let me put the quotes everywhere. All right, so now if I send the request, then we see the user is created. We have the ID, email address, name, the role is admin, and the team ID and the team is null, and we have the token. And you will also notice that if I go to the headers, you will also see that we have set the token in the cookies as well, so that whenever the subsequent request happens, the token is forwarded from the cookies. All right, so we can also go and check in the database the record is created or not. So if I go back here and if I go here, then in the user tables, let me have a select statement here, and you will see that we have an ID, we have the email, and we have the user with the hash password, and the role is admin. Now let's create another user and let's see what happens. So if I go and create another user, so let me have Nikesh G, and I'm going to create the email as Nix, and let me send the request now. So if I send a request, you see another user is created, but this time the role is user and not the admin. So that means our registration API is working fine. We can go here and we can query and check. We have the second user is created. So now let's work on the logout API so that we can log out a user and then we can log in again. So I'm going to go and work on the logout. So I will go here, and here. Let's create an export constant async function. So I will have the async function. This will also be a post function, and in this we are going to first have a constant response which will be equals to the next response dot JSON, and we are going to have here message user logged out successfully. Okay, and once we have this, we can also have the status. So let me have the status as 200. Okay, here I added a constant which should not be there. Now after having status, what we will do is from this response we also need to remove the cookies. So I will have the response cookies dot set, and we are going to set the token as empty. So let me have the empty, and then we can have those properties. So I will have the HTTP only as true. I will have the secure as process.env.node triple equals to production. We will have the same site as lex, and then we're going to have the max age as 0. All right, so this is pretty much for the logout API. We can go and give a try. So if I go here, then what I will do is I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to rename this as a logout. So I will have the logout. Now here it will get changed to logout. This will still be a post. I can remove this, and now if I send it, then we get an internal server error. Let's go and let's check. So if I go here, then we see the response or next response in all branches of your, okay, something is wrong. So we have here, but we did not return a response. So let me return a response. Now if we go and check, then we see that user logged out successfully. And if we go here and if we try to create the same user again, then we see that user with this email address already exists. So we have the register endpoint, we have the logout endpoint. Now let's work on the login endpoint. So the login will be similar to the register. I will just copy and do the modification. So I go to the login, I put it here, and let's do the modification. So first what we will do is for the login, you need to pass the email address and you need to pass the password. We are going to make a check for the email and the password. So it will be that email and password are required or not valid. After that, we don't find any existing user, or instead of that, I'm going to use user from DB await, and we need to find a user with the email address. Along with that, I also want to include the team. So I'm going to have the team as true. Okay, then I will just remove this piece. We don't want them. We also don't have anything related to the code. So I'm going to remove this as well. No team. All right. Now we just have to check that if there is no user from DB, then in that case what we will do is we are going to return next response dot JSON, and here we are going to have the error and we will have the invalid credentials. Okay, and then the status, so let me have the status as 401. So we have this one. Now what we will do next is once we check the user from the DB, we need to check that is the password is valid or not. So we are going to have is valid password. And how do you validate the password? You need to use the verify password instead of the hash password. So in the verify password, we are going to put the password and we are going to use the password from the user from DB dot password. All right, and if there is any problem with the password matching, then in that case what we will do is if it's not valid, then we are going to have invalid password, and then we're going to have this one. Okay, we will just remove this, we don't want them. Now if the password is valid, that means the password matched, then we generate a token for the user. This will get changed to the user from DB, and then we can generate the response. So to generate the response, what we will do is we are going to change all this, because this all coming from the user from DB. After that, you set the cookies, you return the response, and then everything is as it is. Here we can just have the login field. All right, let's give a try. So I will go here and I'm going to do a duplicate, and this is going to get renamed to login. Okay, and in the login, this will also get changed to login. So I will have a login here. I will go to the body, and in the body we will remove the team code and we will remove the name. And now we can just send the request. Okay, so we see there is an internal server error. Let's go and let's check. So what I will do is I'm going to add my error here so that I can see what the error is. All right, now I'm going to go and send the request. And if I go here, then we see the expected double quote. Okay, so the problem is here, I guess. Now let's send. And now we see that we are able to log in. And if I go to the headers, we have the token as well. If I go to the logout, then it's going to log out. All right, so that means our login API is also working. Now let's work on the me API, which is going to give me the information about a logged in user. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to go to the me, and here what we will do is let's have the export async function, and this is going to be a get API. We are going to have a request which will be of type next request. All right, and then let's have a try catch block. So in the try block, what I will do is I'm going to have a constant user, and this is going to be a wait get current user. So I will have the get current user, and you remember that for the get current user, we take the token from the cookie and then we decode and get the user information. So this is what we are going to get it here. So if we are not going to get any user from this, then in that case we are going to return a next response dot JSON, and we are going to have the error here, and here it will be that you are not authenticated. Okay, and then let's have the status. So I'm going to have the status as 401. Okay, but if that's not the case, then in that case what we will do is we are just going to return the next response dot JSON, and we return the user information. So I will have the user here. If it's a catch, then in that case what we will do is we will have the console error, and we are going to log the error. Okay, and we will also return the response. So I will have the return next response dot JSON, and we are going to have the error internal server error, something went wrong. Okay, and then let's give the status. So status will be 500. So I will have the status, and the status is 500. Okay, let's give a try. So if I go here, and then I'm going to create a duplicate, I'm going to rename this as me, and then this will get changed to me, this will get changed to get. And if I send, then say you are not authenticated. But let's go and let's log in first. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to log in. All right, now after login, if I go and check on the me, then you see that it gives me the information of the logged in user. And if you are a logout, then in that case it will say that you are not authenticated because the cookies get clear. So that's why we don't get the information of the logged in user. So this was the complete authentication part of our application. Now let's go and let's work on the users part, where you can fetch the user if you are a logged in user, and the information of the user gets changed based on the role you have. If you are an admin, you will have a different kind of thing. If you are not an admin and if you're a manager, you will see something else. Let's go and let's do that. So I'm going to go back to the Visual Studio Code, and first I'm going to go and write the user endpoint. All right, so we will start with creating a function. So we will have the export async function. The user is going to be a get API. So we are going to have a request as next request. And after that, what we will do is we are going to have a try catch block. And in the try, first thing we will do is that these APIs of the user are only accessible to logged in user. So whenever you are logged in, you're going to have the get current user information because you are logged in. But if you don't get this information, let's say if there is no user, then in that case what you will do is I'm just going to copy from here the response, and I'm going to put the response here to the user, that you will have the next response, and here you will be having that you are not authorized to access user information. All right, so we have this authentication issue that you're not authorized to get this information. But if that's not a problem, then in that case what we will do is we are going to have a constant search params, and this search param will be equals to the request dot next URL dot search params. So basically what you can do is if I go and show you here, then let me just duplicate this, and if I rename this, then this will be a user, and here it's going to be a user. All right, but you can also have the search param like this, and here what you can add is you can either add the team ID, so you can have the team ID and that can equals to something, or you can also have a role here. So if you want to have a role, then you can also search the users with a particular role. All right, so this is what this means, that you can take it from the search params, and from the search param what you can do is you can get the team ID, which could be search params dot get, and here you're going to have the team ID. So basically these are the query params, you can take it, or you can also have a role, search params dot get, you will have the role. Okay, so you can get these one. Now let's build the where clause based on the user role. So what I will do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to build the where clause based on user role. Based on the user role, the information will differ. So I'm going to have a constant, I will have the where, then I'm going to use the prisma.user where input. So this is basically the where clause we are building. Now what you will do is that if user dot, okay, so we see a promise here because this will be a wait. Okay, so now we will get the if user dot role is equals to the role dot admin, then in that case what we will do is we're going to have that admin can see all users. Else if user dot role is equals to role dot manager, so if you're having a role as manager, in that case what you will have, manager can see users in their team or cross team users but not cross team managers. So managers can have two views. Manager can have the users of their own team, or managers can have the user of the cross team, but they cannot see the cross managers because cross manager will have a same level of role hierarchy, so they can only see the users which are having lower hierarchy. All right, so this is what we will do, and for that we need to build a where clause. So I'm going to have my where dot or, and this is going to be equals to, here we need to put team ID should be equals to the user dot team ID, because the manager's team ID will be similar to all those employees or all those users which are in the same team. They will also have the same team ID. So that's why we want that information. And second is that if the role is user. So for the manager and the admin, we will not be able to see. Only the role with users we will be seeing. All right, so this is for the users in their team, and this is for the users in the cross team. All right, now the third one will be the else. What we will do is if you are a regular user, then you will have the view of only your team views, or only the members of your team only see in their team. So here what we will do is here we are going to have where team ID is equals to user dot team ID, and where role is equals to not role dot admin. Okay, so if you are a regular user, then you can see all the members of your team and your manager, but you cannot see the admin. So this is what the where clause is. So here are all the three where clauses that we have built based on their roles. Now we will have the additional filter, which one was the, let's have the additional filters, and these additional filters are that if our team ID is there, then we will have the where dot team ID is equal to team ID, and if we are going to have the role, then we are going to have the where dot role is equals to role. All right, so we have the where clause completely done. Now what we will do is we are going to use the same where clause in the query. So I will have the constant, we need to fetch the users now, and this will be equals to await. We're going to use the prisma dot user dot find many, because there will be many users with the criteria, and then we are going to have the where. All right, the where clause, and then we're going to have the select, and what all information we need. We will need the ID, we will need the email address of those user, we will need the name of those user, then we will need the role of those user. We don't need a password, so we are not using that. We will need the team of those user, and in the team what you want to select, I want to select the ID, so I'm going to make it true, and let's have the name just, so I will make this as true. So this is all the information which I needed, and then what we will need is we are also going to need a created at, so I'm going to make it true, and then we need to order this, so I will have a order by, and order by at created at, and we are going to have the DESC, and then in the end what we can do is we can just return it. So I will have the return next response dot JSON, and we will return the users. Now if there is an error, then we will just do a console error get users error, and we are going to have the error here, okay, in the console. And if that's not the case, we are going to return the next response dot JSON, and we are going to have the error, and here we are going to have the internal server error, something went wrong, and let's give the status. So the status will be 500. All right, so we have this, and the user information based on the roles, we will having this different. So if you want to go and check, what we will do is first let's register a user with a manager role. So I'm going to have a name, email, password, and team code. But before that, we will also need to have the users assigned to a particular team, because if they are not assigned, then it doesn't make any sense for a manager to get the team members of his own team, because they all should have been assigned to a same team. We are going to seed the database with the teams so that we have the teams and more data. So what I will do is I'm going to go to the seed TS. All right, and here what I will do is first let me have the Prisma client. Prisma, and this is going to be equals to the new Prisma client. All right, and then what we will do is we are going to have the async function, and I'm going to create a main function here. All right, and in last what I will do is for the main function, I'm going to call this main function like this, and then I'm going to have dot catch on it. If there is any error, then in that case I'm going to do console dot error, and we will have here seeding failed with whatever the error we get. All right, and after that we will just exit, so process exit 1. Then if that's not the case, what we will do is we are going to have the finally, and in the finally we are going to have the async arrow function. I will have the await, I will have prisma dot disconnect, so I will just disconnect connection from the database. Now in this, what we need to do is first we need to create the multiple teams. So I can have a console dot log, and here it will be starting database seed. Okay, once you have them, I'm going to create the teams. So let me have create teams, and I'm going to have constant teams is equals to await promise dot all. So when all the promise gets resolved, we will have all our teams created. So I will have prisma dot team dot create, and this is going to accept the data, and the data will be, so let me copy paste this data. All right, so I just copy pasted the script here to see the database. So these are the teams which we will create. Engineering description will be there, and there will be a code. And I'm also creating some sample users, like some will be the manager role, then someone will be the user role, teams that they are belong to. So if they are belonging to operations, then they will be in the operations. All right, so that's what we have it. Now let's go and let's try to run this. So what I will do is I'm going to go here, instead of db push, I'm going to have a package JSON, and we will have the db seed. So let me have here db seed, and I'm going to hit enter, and we see that starting database seeding and database seeded successfully. So now if I go here, and if I go here, then we will also have the data for our, so I'm going to just remove this, we give *, and then we will have it for the teams. So let me go here and run it. Then we see we have these 3 teams, and if we want to go and check for the users, then we will have some users as well. All right, so if I zoom in this, then we will see that we have few new users, and some users are managers, some are users, and one is the admin, and some also belongs to a teams. Now if I want to check it, let's go and log in with the admin and see what the users API gives me back. So if I go here, and if I go to the login, and let me first log in. So I want to log in with the page @gmail.com, and if I click on send, then I'm logged in. Now what I want to do is I want to go to the user API, and I'm going to remove everything first and just click on send. Then you will see that I get all the users. So I am a user here, is a manager, user, manager. So I have a lot of users and managers here. So I get all the data. But now this is not the case. What I want is, or maybe I can also show you one more thing. If we go here and we have role as manager, and if I try to send, okay, it's give me internet server error. So maybe let's try manager like this. Then you will see that I get the users which are only having a role of a manager. Now if I want someone who has a role as admin, and if I send it, then I get a user who only has a role as admin. Similarly, you can also do it for the team ID, that I only want the users who has a team ID as, so let me find a team ID from the database. So if we go here and let's find a team ID of this one. All right, so what I will do is I'm going to go here and run this, and I want all the users who have a team ID as this one. So I will go back here, and I'm going to put the team ID as this one, and I'm going to send it. And I see that the Alice and the Bob, they both have the same team ID. That means they both belongs to marketing team. So that is what the user API works like. Now if you want to go and check the same thing for the other users, so I'm going to go here. I will first go to the users, and let's check for the Bob. All right, so I'm going to log out, and I will log in with the Bob first. So I will go here, I'm going to log out, and now I'm going to log in with the Bob. So I will have bob@company.com. I'm going to send. All right, I have logged in as a Bob. You will see that Bob has also the information about the team he belongs to. Now if I go to the user, and if I send this request, then we see the same information. But now if I try to find any user with a role as admin, then I will not find any user with the role admin, because as a manager I cannot get the information of the admin users. And if I remove everything and if I just send it, then I get to see the users which belongs to my team. So Alice belongs to Bob's team, and this is Bob. But I will also see the users from the cross teams, but I will not be able to see the manager from the cross team. Even though if I go here, and you will see that we have 2 managers, and now if I select and I send it, then you will see that even though John is also manager, but I don't get any information about the John. And that is what the logic we have written here in the users API. So if I go back to the users, so let me find the users, then you will see that for manager can see users in their team or regular users, but not other managers and admin. So our API is working perfectly fine, and we have also tested all the different scenarios based on different roles. Now what we want more to do here is that we want that let's say we have this user who is a Nikesh. Now we want this user to assign to some team, so we need to have to make a patch request to update the team information, or we want to make Nikesh as a manager, so we want to make a patch request on this user ID so that we can change the role or we can change the team. And this privilege is only available to the admin. The manager and the users cannot do this one. So let's do that one. So I'm going to go back here, and first we are going to work on the teams part that you can assign to someone's team. So I'm going to go in the teams and let's create the patch request. So I will have the export, we're going to have the async, and then we are going to have a function, and this is going to be a patch because we want to update. And in this, what we will do is we are going to have a request which will be a next request, but along with that we will also need to get the user ID because we need to do this on a particular user ID. So there is called something called context, and in the context what you will do is you can get the value of the user ID. So this gives me a params which is a promise, and it has the user ID of type string. Okay, so this is the patch request. Now we're going to use the try catch block, and in the try block what we will do is first let's have a constant and get the user ID. So I'm going to get my user ID so that I know for which user I have to do the operation. So I will have the context dot params. Okay, so this is going to give me a user ID. Then we are going to check the logged in user because we will also need to know that whether the logged in user have privileges to do this operation or not. So I will have the get current user, and now if we say that if user, or we have to check that if you are a logged in user, we need to check that you have a privilege or not. So what I will do is I'm going to have the check user permission and whether this user has a permission or not. So and the role required. So to do this you required a role of an admin. Okay, only admin can do this. So if you have it, then good. If you don't have it, that means you are not authorized to do this operation. So I will have a next response JSON, and here we are going to have the error and authorized to assign team. Since you don't have an access, you cannot do it. Only admin can do it. Okay, I will import this role. All right, and then let me give the status as 401 because you don't have enough permission to do this operation. If that's not the case, then I will do a constant, and we need to get the team ID, that what team ID we need to assign to this user. So that we will come from the request JSON. So I will have the request JSON. Now let's check that whether the ID which we have received is a valid team ID or not. So if so, this we can do it with the register. So in the register also we have a similar operation. So if we have a team, then we can do something like this. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to put this here, and here I can make the changes. So if the team ID is a valid team ID, then in that case we make a call. We will have a Prisma team, and then instead of this we are going to have the ID, and let's pass the team ID. Okay, if we don't have a team, then we need to have that team not found. So this is going to change to team not found, and this is will change to 404. And if we found the team, then in that case what we will do is we are going to have update users team assignment, and to update that what we will do is constant updated user is equals to await Prisma user update. So this time we are updating the user information, and we have to pass the where clause where ID is equals to the user ID. We have to update the information for this particular user. Now we can pass the data that we want to update. So we want to update the team ID property, and this is going to be a team ID. All right, and when you do this you also include the team information. So I'm going to have team, and I'm going to have true. Okay, so we have done this one. Now after this what we will have to do is we need to return a response. So I'm going to have a return next response dot JSON, and here you're going to have the user updated user. Along with that, you will have a message, and here you're going to have team ID. So if you have a team ID, then in that case, what you're doing is you're having a user assigned to team successfully. But if you don't have it, in that case, what you will do is user removed from team. So it will be user removed from team successfully. All right. So here you are doing both the operations. You are adding a user to a team and you are removing a user to a team. But if this is not the case and if there is a catch, then what we will do is we're going to go here. We will have the console dot error and we will have team assignment error. All right. And then we will have here the error, whatever the error we have received. And here I will have that if the error is an instance of error and error dot message dot includes record to update not found, then in that case what we will do is we are going to do a return next response dot json and we are going to have the error as user not found. Okay, and then we're going to have the status as 404. So I will have the status as 404. But if this is not the case, then in the other case we are giving the response and this is going to be internal server error and we're going to have something went wrong. All right, and this will get changed to 500. Okay, so we have done with this one as well. We will test it after some time, but before that what I will do is I will also write the code for the role, that if you want to assign a role, then how you can do that. So I will just do a copy paste of this one because this will be more similar. And here I'm going to come here, I will save it, and here also you will get the user ID because for this user ID you need to assign a role. You will have that only admin can assign a role, otherwise you will not have a permission. And then what we have to do here is we need to make a check here that we need to prevent users from changing their own role. So if user ID is equals to, and I will change this to current user. All right, so I will make a check here. This I will copy, this I will put it here, and this I will put it here. And here I will make a check that if current user dot ID, if they matches, then in that case what we have to do is we are going to return a response. So I'm going to copy this, I'm going to put it here, and this I will just change it, and this will be that you cannot change your own role. Okay, then what we will do is here this time we will get a role and then we need to check the role is valid or not. So let me have validate role, the role which you have provided is a valid role or not. So for that what we will do is we are going to have a constant valid roles is equals to, here I'm going to use the role dot user, as you cannot make anyone admin, so you can either make a user or a manager, and you will have role dot manager. Okay, so these are the valid roles. Now what we will do is if, so I will just remove this, we don't want them, and here we will have that if these are valid roles dot include the role which we have provided. All right, then in that case what we will do is we are going to give a response and this will be invalid role, or you cannot have more than one admin role user. All right, now what we will do is we are going to update the user. So here we are going to have the user ID and here we are going to have the role, and this is going to be the role. So maybe we can have just single role here, and this will include team as well. So this is fine. Now let's have a next response. So we are going to have the updated role, updated user, and then we're going to have the message. So let me put the message here now, and the message will be that user role updated to, I'm going to have the role here, and then I will have the successfully. Let me change this to backtick. Okay, we have this one, and if there is any error, then what we will do is we are going to have that role assignment error, and if the error instance of this one, then we are going to have the user not found, otherwise we are going to have it. All right, so this is also done. Now we can go and give a try to it in the requestly. So let's go. So what I will do is I'm going to duplicate this and let me rename this. So I'm going to go rename. So this will be team assignment, and for the team assignment this is going to be a patch request, and this is going to be user slash id slash team. Okay, and in the body what we need to give is, in the body we need to give the team id, and we can just remove this. Okay, so this is what team assignment is. You add team or you remove a team for a particular user. So what I will do is, first let's try with the Bob. So I'm going to log in with the Bob. Now Bob is in this team, so let me change the team for the Bob. So I'm going to copy this. So first I have to copy the ID of the Bob, so I'm going to copy and I'm going to use the ID. So for this user I want to change the team. So the current team for the Bob is this one, and let's get some other team. So I'm going to go here and let's go in the PostgreSQL and find some other teams. Okay, so I go here and here I need some teams. So what I will do is I will select, and here are the teams. So Bob is in the marketing, so let me copy this one and let me change this one. So I will go to the team assignment and I'm going to assign the team this one, and I'm going to send it, and we have to see that whether Bob can do it or not. And if I send a request, you see that you are not authorized to assign it because Bob is not an admin. Only admin user can do this. So in order to do that, what we can do is we can go to the me, and we see that you are a manager. So let's log out from a manager. All right, now if I go to the me, that you are not authenticated. Now if I go and log in, so I have to log in with an admin. So admin is the page, and I'm going to have gmail.com. All right, now if I log in, then I logged in as an admin. And now if I try to assign and if I send it, then you see we get an internal server error. So let's go and let's check. Okay, so here I see that the syntax error. Okay, again we made a mistake. This should not come here. And now if I send it and if I go and see, then we see that the team of the Bob is now operations. Previously Bob was in marketing, now Bob is in operations. We can make it more properly because we also don't want to give the password as well in the response. So we also have to make this change, but for now it's fine if we keep it. That's not a problem for the sake of understanding. Now Bob has been changed to operations. Now what we can do is we can also make a change on a user role. So this is a team assignment. Now if I want to remove Bob from any team, and I can send a request. Okay, I see an internal server error. So you will see that now if I make a null, then Bob is having no team. So you cannot put an empty string because there is a constant on it, but you can also put the null, so it will work. So now Bob has no team manager. If you want to assign some team member to a Bob, then you can assign it back and you can send it, and you will see that Bob is now assigned to operations. So this was the team assignment. Let's go and let's check for the role assignment. So I'm going to save this and I'm going to copy and duplicate, and this is going to be for the role assignment. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to rename this, and I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to make it as a role assignment. Now for the role assignment also, what you need to do is you need to give a role. So currently Bob is a manager. If you want to change Bob's role from manager to a user, then we can change it. So if I send it, then you will see that now Bob is having a role as manager. Okay, Bob's role is not changed. Okay, so this is going to get changed to role. All right, now if I send it, then we will see that Bob role is changed to user. Now if we want to change Bob's role to manager, then we can send it and Bob's role get changed to manager, and all these updates are happening in the database. So we have all our APIs ready. Now maybe in the next video what we will do is we are going to integrate these APIs into the user interface, and we'll build a full-fledged team access management project. Alright guys, so before we start working on the front-end part of our team role-based access control management project, we will first go through some slides and understand how the front-end will look like. So this is our project, which is the Next.js team access management, where in the previous video we have already built the APIs and the database connection part. Now this video we are going to focus on the user interface. And in the user interface, these will be the modules that we will have. So we are going to have the auth module, then we will have the main pages, which will be the main pages of our app. After that we will be using the context API, then we will have a lib folder which is going to contain some utility functions, and then we have some components that we will be using. Now if we go and look into a detailed look, then the auth pages will contain the login and a register page. The main pages is going to contain the dashboard of our application, and then different views for the admin, for manager, and for the user. Then for the context API, we are going to have the auth provider, which is going to manage the authentication part of our application centrally. Then for the lib folder, we are going to have two helper functions. One will be the API client, which is going to connect with the backend APIs and then give us the response back. And then we are going to have the util folder, which is going to contain some utility functions. Now here are the different views that we are going to have. For the admin view, it can has the user detail information, team detail information. Admin can assign a role, admin can assign a team, and can remove a member from a team. Now if we have a manager view, then we can see the team details and we can see our own team users. We can also see the other users, but we cannot see the managers of other teams. And for the user view, it will be pretty simple. You can see the team details and you can view the users of your own team. So now we have the basic essence of our front-end part. Let's go to our Visual Studio Code and let's start working on the project. All right, so I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of the backend part that we have built. So we have all the APIs here, the user APIs, the health API, and the auth API. Now, other than that, we have a library folder where we have the DB connection and the auth.ts, which are some of the helper functions for creating a hash password, generate token, and everything. Then we have some types that we have created. And now if we go and if I show you, then this was the endpoints we have built it. So if I go and check for the health endpoint, then it will say that status is okay. Database connected successfully. If I go to the me and if I try to send, then this is going to give the information of a logged in user. So we have all these APIs ready. You can always go and check the previous part if you want to understand about the backend side of the project. All right, so if we go here, then this is what we want to build. We will have a home page which will look like this, where we will have all the features demonstrated here, our user roles, and then the login and the register part. And this is our application that we are going to transform it into the one which looks like this. Okay, so let's go back to the Visual Studio Code. All right, so now here what we will do first is let's go to the layout part, and here I will just remove everything which I don't want. Okay, so I will just remove these and I will also remove this. And for the meta part, what we will do is we are going to change this as team access control, and let's have the description for our application. So this will be role based access control system built with Next.js 16 and React 19. All right, so we have these two, and here you can also give a property of the keywords if you want. So if I go here, and then we can have the keywords here, and we can just define some keywords. So I'm going to have team, I will have the access control, and so on. So we can give more to that. Now in the body part, what I will do is I'm going to remove this classes, and instead of this we are going to define the other classes. So I'm going to remove this, and here I'm going to have the minimum height. I'm going to give screen, and we are already having a Tailwind CSS in our project. So if I go to the package.json file, then you will see that we already have a Tailwind CSS post CSS. So we will just be using the Tailwind classes to create our user interface. So I'm going to have a background slate 950, and then I will have the text slate. All right, so we have this layout ready, and all the content of the page will be coming from the page.tsx. So for that, what I will do is I'm going to go to my app folder, and I'm going to create a group of main pages, and inside this main pages I'm going to create a layout.tsx. Then I'm going to create one more page which will be page.tsx. All right, and I will just delete this page. I'm going to create in anyway a new page which will be this one. So here I will come and I'm going to do RSC, and I'm going to name my page as home. Let me use an async here, and in this home we can create our home page that something looks like this. All right, we see here there is an error, but that's fine, we will fix that. And in the layout, what we will do is if I go to the layout, and in the layout we are going to have our header section and the main section of our main page layout. So let's create the layout first here. So I'm going to have RSC, and this is I'm going to name it as the main layout of our page, and this main layout is going to accept the children. So I'm going to have the children as prop, and this will be of type I'm going to have the children, and it will be react.react node. Now once we have this, what we are going to do is we are going to return a JSX from here, and here we're going to have the header part. So I'm going to have my header component, and inside the header component I'm going to have a main tag, and this main tag is going to have my children. So whatever the childrens we have, we're going to use those childrens here. Let's give a class name here. So I'm going to have a container max auto, padding on x-axis as 4 and padding on y-axis as 8. I missed the P, so I'm going to add the P here. So this is our main layout looks like. And after the main layout, we are going to go to the home, where we are going to have the content of our home page. So I'm going to have a div, and I will give a class name to this div as max width for cell. Then we are also going to apply the max auto. After that, what we will do is we are going to have a h1 tag, and inside the h1 tag we are going to write team access control demo. Let's give some class name. So I'm going to have the text 3xl. After that, we're going to have the font bold. Then we will need the margin bottom as 6 and text as white. So this is what we have added. After that, we are going to add this section. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to have a paragraph tag. Let me give the class name to this paragraph tag as text slate 300 and margin bottom as 8. I'm going to just paste the content part. So I'm going to come here and I will paste the content part. All right. Now, once we have that one, the next thing what we need to do is we need to create this table for the features demonstration and the user roles. So let's do that. So I'm going to have a div. Let's give a class name and we are going to create a grid. So let's have the grid class. Then for the medium device, I'm going to have the grid column 2, and then we'll have the gap between the two grids. So I'm going to have the gap as 6 and margin bottom as. Inside that, we will have another div, and I'm going to give the class name. So I will have the background slate 800. We will have the padding as 6. We're going to use the border, and then our border color would be slate 700. And then we need the rounded edges. So for the rounded edges, you can just have the rounded hyphen LG, which is going to give us the rounded edges. Now after that, what we will do is we are going to put the heading, which was the H3 heading, and the heading is the features demonstrated. And here we are going to create the list. So let me have an unordered list. Let's give a class name to the list. So I will have the list disk. Then we are going to have the list inside. After that, we need to give a class for the space y1, text as small, and then we will have the text slate 300. Okay. And in this, we are going to add all the list and the data. So I'm just going to do a copy paste of all the features that we are going to build. Okay. For H3 also, I will give some class names, and for the class name will be font semi bold, margin bottom as 3, and text as white. All right. Now we need to give a very similar for the other one as well, for the user roles. So let's have that one. So I'm going to have a div here, and let's give the class to this div. So our background is still the slate 800. After that, we are going to give the padding as 6. We're going to have the border. We will have the border slate 700. So it will be very similar what we have given it here. And then we are going to have the rounded. So I made a mistake here. I'm going to copy this rounded and let's put the rounded here. After rounded, we need to give a H3 tag as well. So I'm going to just copy this part here, and I'm going to copy and put it here. So I will come here and I will add it here. Here we are going to change this to user roles. So I will just remove these two. Okay. Then we're going to have the li, and inside the li, what I will do is I'm going to put a strong tag. So I'm going to copy all, and I'm going to put a strong tag everywhere. And inside the strong tag, I'm going to have my super admin. Then here I'm going to have my admin. Then here I'm going to have my manager, and here I'm going to have my user. Okay, I will just remove this. All right, and after the strong, we are going to have here for admin, you will have a full system access. For admin, you will have the user and team management. For the manager, you will have the team specific management or information. And for the user, we are simply going to have the basic dashboard where user can see its information. So I will have the basic dashboard. All right. So if we go here, then we have a issue because we did not create a header component. So let's go and create that header component. So what I will do is I'm going to create in the app folder, create a folder as components, and inside the component I'm going to create a new folder where we will have all the layout related. So I'm going to name it as the layout, and inside the layout let's create our header component. So I will have the header.tsx. If I do rsc, I'm going to have the header here. Okay, now we can just import this header here. So I will have the header. All right, now if we go and check, then we see that we have the team access control, and this is the demo, and this is the features and everything. So we have a very similar what we have it here. Now let's create the header part so that we can have the home page at least ready. So I will go here, and before going to the header, we're going to create the page.tsx, and the last part is to display the information related to that you are logged in or not. So let's create that part. So I'm going to go here, and here I'm going to have the condition that if a user is logged in, then we want to display something, else we have to display something. And here what I will do is I'm going to go here, and I'm going to have a constant user as false. So initially we keep the user as false. All right, so I will come back here, and here we are going to have the div, and here we will have the another div, the else condition div. All right, so we have both the divs, and the first one that if a user gets logged in, then in that case what we will do is I'm going to have a background as green 900/30. Then we are going to have the border. I will have the border green 600. I will have the rounded as LG, and then I'm going to have the padding as 4. All right, and then in this div what I will do next is I'm going to have a paragraph, and I'm going to give a class name as text green 300, and this is green because it's a successful login. So when you are logged in, you will get the information. So I will have the welcome back. I'm going to use a strong tag, and then I will use the maybe username. So for now I'm going to just have the page here, and later on we will replace it with the actual user who logs in. All right, then I will have the exclamation, and you are logged in as, and then we are going to have again a strong, and let's have a class name. So I'm going to give the class name as text green 200, and I'm going to define a role, so maybe a role as user. All right, so the page is logged in and the page is a user. Now after that, once you have it, then you will have a link tag which coming from the next link, and we are going to have that you can go to the dashboard. If you are logged in, then you can go to the dashboard. So I'm going to have the /dashboard. Okay, and here what I will do is I'm going to have a text as go to dashboard. Now on this link we need to provide some classes, so I will just do a simple copy paste of those classes, and I will just put it here. All right, so this is how it looks like. Now if this is not the case, and if a user is logged out, then in that case we need to display this div, and we're going to have the class name. So I'm going to have the class name, and I will just do a copy and paste. So I will just copy, and we're going to put it here. So I'm going to have a paragraph tag. So I'm going to copy this paragraph tag, and I will come here. I will change this to, and this is going to be MB-3, and I will just remove all this. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to remove this as well. Now if we go and check, so if I come here and we see that this is a green color, so we need to make this as a blue color. So I'm going to change this to blue, and this will also get changed to slate 300, and this will get changed to blue 600. Since we have the paragraph tag, after paragraph tag we are going to have our two buttons which will take us to the login and register. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to put it here, and this is going to get changed to login, and this will also get changed to login. And similarly I'm going to do a copy of this, and I'm going to put it here, and this is going to go on the register, and this will get changed to register. Okay, I'm going to do a copy paste for the classes. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to change this. All right, and then I will have a similar classes on the register as well. So I'm going to just copy and paste that as well. And then in the end we have the export default home. So if I go here and if I refresh it, then we have a very similar what we see it here. We can just make this colors as well, so that we can see here the nice colors. So I will go back here, and here for every strong tag I'm going to have a class, and I can define the color here. So let's have a text purple 400, and I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put it here, and here and here. We can now just change the text. So I'm going to have the text color as green here, yellow here, and then here I'm going to have the blue. All right, so we have all these 4 colors now. And here we see that we need a little bit space here between the login and the register. So if I go here, then what we can do is we can just wrap this. So I'm going to have a div, and I will close that div, and here we can give a class names as space x as 3. So we need a space between the elements which are inside this div, and then we can just take this, cut it, and put it here, and you will see that we get the space here. Okay, so this part is ready. So now let's go and let's work on the header component. So I'm going to remove this, and we want this header component as a client component. So I will be using the use client, and let's create the interfaces for this. So I will have the interface header props, and this will be, we're going to have a user, we will be having a user, or it will be a null. Now from where we get this user, we already have the types for this user. So if we go to the types, then we already created this type for our API service. All right, so we can use this user. Now I will come here, and then we are going to get the user, which will be of type as header props. Then I'm going to have a constant, and we will be using a path name. So if I go here, then we see that we right now we have this home as highlighted because we are on home path. And if we log in, then we are going to have a dashboard as well. So we want to make that highlight. So we will be using a path name. So let me have the path name, which will be use path name from the next navigation. Now after the path, I will also have a constant for navigation, and this will be a array, and inside this what we will have is we are going to have the name as home. So we will be having a home, then we are going to have the href as slash for the home, and then we are going to have a show. So we want to show it or we don't want to show it. So this is what we are going to have, and here it will be a colon. Similarly, we are also going to have another navigation, and that will be name as dashboard. So I will have the dashboard, and for the href for the dashboard will be, so I will have the href slash dashboard, and then we will have the show. So in which cases we want to show the dashboard. So for now I will just keep it as false, or maybe I will keep it as true. Okay, so we have these two. Now what we will do is since we are using the show property as true and it could be a false, so we need to get this navigation only for the property which has show as true. So what I will do is I will simply apply a filter here, and I want to filter the item, and this will be for item dot show. So now let's create the JSX part. So here I'm going to have the header. All right, now inside this header, let's give the classes. So I'm going to have the class as background slate 900. We are going to have the border as bottom. We are going to have the border slate 700. All right, inside that we need to create a div. I will have a class name to this div. I'm going to have the container max as auto and padding x-axis as 4. Now inside this we need to first have the logo. So I'm going to have a link tag. I'm going to give the href to the link tag as slash. So slash, then I'm going to give a class name. So I will have the font bold text as Excel, and then I'm going to have the color of the text. So that color of the text will be white. So I will have the white. All right, now before this I will just create one more div, and where I can apply my flex box. So I will have the class name, I will have the flex, justify content as between, then we are going to have the items as center, and I'm going to have the height as 16. Okay, now I can just take this, cut it, and put it here, and here I can give the name as of my application as team access. All right, since the link is not defined, so let's have the link which will come from the next link. Now we have this one. This was the logo part, so I'm going to have a, I will write here as logo. Okay, now after the logo we are going to have our navigation. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to have the navigation. So let me have this as navigation, and here what we will do is we are going to create a nav tag, and inside the nav tag, we are going to have the flex. I will have the items as center, and I will have the space x as 6 so that I can get the space between those nav items. And here we can have the navigation dot map. We're going to get the item, and here we're going to have a link tag. Now on the link, we're going to use the key first. So the key will be the item dot name, and then we are going to have the href, which will be item dot href, and then we're going to have the classes. I will have here a function, so get nav item class, and here you need to give the href. So you just pass the href, and based on the href it's going to pick the values of the classes, and then it will apply here. We don't have a function here, so let me quickly have a function here. So I'm going to go here, I will have the constant, I will have the get nav item class. This is going to accept an href of type string. I'm going to create an arrow function. Let here is active. I just want to make it active whichever the path name is on the URL. So I'm going to have that if href is on the home path, then in that case I will have the is active as path name triple equals to slash. And if that is not the case, then we are going to have the if else. I will have the again href, and this time it will be triple equals to dashboard. Then in that case I will have the is active equals to the path name dot starts with href. So I will have the href here. So I will apply the is active flag on it, and then in the end what we will return from here is we are going to return a couple of classes. So I'm going to just do a copy paste of those classes. If it's active, then we apply this classes. If it's not active, then we apply this classes, and this is what it is going to bring it here and apply on this one. All right, now inside this one we are going to use the item dot name to be displayed, and that's where our nav bar is done. Now below the nav bar, the next thing what we want to do is we want a login and a register link here. So what we will do is we are going to go here, and here I'm going to have the user info, and let's have that. So I'm going to have a div. We're going to give a class name as flex item center, and then we're going to have the space x as 4. Below that we are simply going to have a same thing, that if there is a user, so what I will do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to create a constant user as false. Okay, and if I go here, then we are going to have that if we have a user, and if that is true, then in that case I want to display something. If not, then I want to display something else, and here I'm going to have divs. Okay, so if there is already a user which is a logged in user, then in that case what we will do is we are going to have a span. I'm going to give a class name as text sm text slate 300, and here I'm going to give the username. So let me have my username as Dipesh, and then my role. So my role is a user role, and then we need to provide a logged out button because it's a logged in user. So let's have a logout button. So I'm going to have a button. We are going to have a on click on that button. All right, then I'm going to have a class name, and let me copy paste the class name. So I will copy and I will put the class name here. Okay, for now I will also remove this or comment this out, but we will put it later on the on click functionality as well. And here we are going to have the logout. Now if this is not the case, then we need to have our login and a logout link. So that login and a logout link, I can get it from my home layout or from my home tsx here. So I will just do a copy and paste of it. So I will copy, I will go to my header, and inside my header here I'm going to just put it. All right, so I will have a link href/login, and I will just copy paste the classes. So I'm going to copy and I will put the classes here, and I will put the classes for the register as well. So I'm going to copy and I'm going to put the classes for register as well. So we have this one ready. Now if you want to go and check, then what we will do is, since we have an issue here, since here we see that we have a duplicate, so what I will do is I'm going to have the user one here, and I'm going to use a user one for now. We will later on we will change it once we get the user value. We see that we have a login, we have a register, we have a home, and we have a dashboard. Right now I don't have any of the pages created, so all the pages will go to the 404. All right, so our home page is ready. Now what we will do is we are going to create an API client so that we have all our API functions ready. So if I go to the lib folder, and here I'm going to create a new file as API client.ts, and in this what we will do first is let's have a constant API base URL. So this project is also very crucial from the API integration perspective, that how you can integrate the APIs into your Next.js project. So I will have the process.env next public API URL, and if not, then I'm going to have the http:// localhost 3000, as our server is running on localhost 3000, so we are going to use the localhost 3000. Okay, so we have this API based URL. Now I will create a class, and this is a best practice to use the API integration. You just create an API client, and here I'm going to have the private base URL of type string. Next, let's create the constructor for this class. So I'm going to have a constructor, and here we're going to have that this base URL is equals to API base URL. Now after that, what we will do next is we are going to create the methods in this class. So I will have the async request, and what it will accept is it will going to have an endpoint which will be of type string, and then we're going to have the options which will be request init interface. Okay, and this is going to be an empty object first. Now what we will do is we are going to first create the URL. So the URL will be I'm going to have this dot base URL, and then we can append whatever the endpoint we want. So I'm going to have the endpoint. So this is a very generic function you are creating which can be reused for all your API calls. Okay, then I'm going to come here. I will have a constant, I will have a configuration here, and we will have our request in it, and this will be an object. Now let's have the headers for our request, and what headers we will have is, first let's have the content type, and this will be application/JSON. After that, we are going to have all the headers we are passing. So we are going to have the options. So let me have the options dot headers, and we want that once you are logged in, then your token should be in the cookies. So we want that for every request you make it, the token in the cookie should be forwarded. So for that, we will be using credentials, and you will have the credentials as include, and this is important for cookies because our token is in the cookies. In the end, we will just get all the options that are available, or all the remaining configuration that is available. Now I will have a constant, we're going to have the response, and this will be equals to the await. Let's make a fetch. We need to pass the URL, and we pass the config that we have created. Now once we have the response, what we will do is we are going to handle the 401 part. So I will have the handle 401 unauthorized gracefully. So these are some of the best practices that you can use while integrating an API into your project. So if response status is equals to 401, then in that case you're going to have return null. But if this is not the case, then we have response dot okay. So if the response is not okay, then in that case what we will do is we are going to have a constant error await. We will have the response dot JSON dot catch, and then we will catch the error. So I will have the error, and we're going to have the network error. Once we catch the error, we can just throw the error. So I will have the throw new error, and we are going to have the error as error, and if not, then we are going to have the request failed. Oops, that will be error dot error. All right, so we have this our function for the request. All right, now let's write the other functions that we will need for this class. So I'm going to go here first, and I will just minimize this for now. And here first we will have all our auth methods. So we will have all our auth methods, and after the auth methods, the next what we will have is we are going to have the user methods. So let me have the user methods. After that, we are going to have our admin methods. So we are going to have the admin methods. So these will be all the user endpoints which we have it here. So if I go here, then we have this login, logout, me, and register. Then for the user methods, you have this one where you will get the information of the user, and then you have the admin methods where you can set a role to a user, and then you can assign a user to a team. So these are the methods. So let's start first with the auth method. So I will have the async register method here, and this register method is going to have the user data. I will just keep it unknown for now, and then we are going to have this function. Now what this is going to do is this is going to return this dot request, and we need to provide the endpoint. So endpoint is /API/auth/register. And if we want to see, then we can go here, and for the register one, it's the API auth register, and this is the base URL. All right, and now let's pass the configs. So for the options, I need to pass the method. So this is going to be a post method. Then we need to pass the body. So I will have the body. Here I'm going to have the JSON.stringify, and we are going to stringify the user data. So I will have the user data. All right, so this is what our register looks like. Now I'm going to copy and put it for the login. I'm going to change this to login. When you log in, you will be receiving an email which is of type string, and you will be receiving a password which is of type string. Now the endpoint will get changed to login, and this is going to get changed to email and password. Okay, and this will not be an object, so I will just remove them. So this is our login function. Now the next one will be the logout. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to use it for the logout. So I will have the logout. When you do a logout, you don't accept anything. This will get changed to logout. The method for the logout is post, and there is no body for the logout, so I will just remove it. Okay, then the next one will be the me, which is going to give you the information about the current logged in user. So I will have here get current user, and for this the endpoint is me, and we don't need to pass any method because it's a get call. So I'm going to just remove that and I will save it. And the me is what we called it here. So when you do a me, it is going to give you the information of the current logged in user. Okay, so we have all these 4 methods. Now for the users, so I'm going to just copy this and I'm going to use it here. For the user, it will be get users, and this will get changed to users. So I'm going to remove this and we are going to have the users. Now for the other one, which is for the admin methods, so I'm going to go here, and here we will have the update user role. So I'm going to have the update user role. So if I go back here, then here you will see that you have the role assignment, where you can just assign a role to a user. So here, if we want to update a user role, we will need a user ID, for which user we need to update the role, and this will be of type string. And then what role we need to assign that user, which is also be of type string. The API endpoint will be users slash, we're going to pass the user ID, and then we're going to have the slash role. I'm going to change this to backtick, and now we need to pass the options. So we're going to have the method as patch, because we are updating, and then we're going to have the body. So this will be JSON stringify, and then we're going to pass the role that is we want to set for that user. Now I'm going to copy this, and let's have another one, which is the assign user to team. In this, you will need the user ID to whom you want to assign to a team, and then you will need the team ID as well. So I will have the team ID. The endpoint, this is going to get changed to a team. We will be having a patch request, and then instead of the role, we are going to pass the team ID. Now this endpoint assign user to a team can also be used for remove a user from a team, because for removing a user also you will need a user ID, and you will need a team ID from which the user has to be removed. And the logic for this we have already written in our API. So if I go here, then here if we will see, then you have that you have the user assigned to team successfully, user removed from team successfully. So you just need to add and remove the team ID. We will be using the same method for both the actions. So our API client is ready and this can be used. The next important thing which we need to build is the context API, which is going to handle the auth and the centralized user throughout our application. So what we will do is let's go to the app, and inside this I'm going to create a folder as provider, and inside this provider I'm going to create a auth provider. So I will come here, I will have the auth provider.tsx. Now inside this, let's create the context API. So I will have the constant auth context, and this is going to be equals to the create context, and we need to provide the type of the context that we need to create, and initial value will be undefined. Right now we don't have any type of the context. Let's create a type quickly. So if I go here, then in the end what I will do is I will come here and I will have the export interface, and I will have the auth context type. And in this what we are going to have is, first we are going to have the user of type user, or it can be a null. If a user is logged out, it will give us a null value. Then we are going to have a login function which is going to accept the form data of type form data, and this is be void. After that, we are going to have the logout. In the logout, we are not going to receive any arguments, and this is going to return void. And then we're going to have a function which will be to check the permission. So has permission, and we need to pass a required role for which we are checking. This will be of type role, and this is going to return a boolean value. We have our auth context type. Now what I will do is I'm going to go to the provider and I'm going to use it here. So I will have the auth context type, and it can also have an undefined, so I will have the undefined here. Okay, now once we have this, next what I will do is I'm going to have the export constant. Let's create the auth provider now. So I will have the auth provider, and this is going to be an arrow function. Now this auth provider is going to accept the children, so I will have the children, and this children will be of type React node. So I will have the children of type React node. Okay, and next what we will do is we are going to return. Now what we are going to return from here is we are going to return the auth context dot provider, and there will be some values attached to it. So what values we have is it is going to be an object, and we will define all the values. So we are going to have our user, we are going to have our login, then we are going to have our logout, and we are going to have our has permission, and here we are going to give the children. So let me have the children here. Now we are getting some errors here that we will solve one by one. So first let's do one thing. So I'm going to have the user part first. So I will go here and I'm going to create a variable for the user. So let me have a user. We are going to have the set user, and this is going to be equals to the use state, and we are going to have a user, or it can be null, and initially we keep it the value as null. Now since we are using use state, we need to make it as a use client, otherwise we are going to get an error. So I will have the use client. Okay, so we have the user. After the user, what we will do is in React 19 we have this use action state for login, so we are going to use that. So what I will do is I'm going to have a constant. We are going to get the login state. So how we get that user set user from the use state? Similarly, we get a login state, then we get the login action, and then we are going to get the is login pending state. So I'm going to have the is login pending, and all this will be coming from the use action state. Now this use action state takes two values. It takes a callback function, and the other thing is the initial state. So I will have the initial state. So we need to write this callback function, and then we need to give the initial state. Now we can define the initial state. So what I will do is I'm going to go here and let's have our type. I will have the login state, and this login state will have the success, which is an optional. It will be a boolean, success true or false. Then it is going to have the user, and this will be of type user, or it can also be null value. Then we are going to have the error, which is also an optional, and this is going to be a string. Okay, so we have this login state. Now what we will do is we will come here and we need to provide the initial state. So let's have first the initial state. So for the initial state, I'm going to have the error as undefined. We're going to have success as undefined because initially we don't have any such values, so we just put everything as undefined, and user as undefined. And I will just take this down, and I'm going to have it as login state. So we have this as a login state. Now what we will do is we need to provide the callback function as well. So for that function, what I will do is I'm going to have the async, and this is going to give me the previous state as a login state. Then we are going to get the form data as a form data. So this is we are going to get it, and then this is going to be a promise of login state. So I'm going to have a login state here. Okay, now this is going to be an arrow function. So we have this arrow function here. Now let's write this functions. We are going to have a constant email. So we will get the email from the form data dot get, and then we can have the email, and this is as string. So I'm going to have the as string. After that, we are going to have a constant. We will get the password. We're going to get from the form data dot get password. This will also be as string. Then what we will do is let's have a try catch block. So in the try, I'm going to have a constant data, and this data will be equals to the await. I'm going to have my API client. Okay, so let's check whether we have exported the API client or not. So I'm going to go to the lib. I will go to the API client, and in this in the end, what we will do is we are going to go here. We will have the export constant API client will be equals to the new API client. So let's create the instance of it and we export that instance. Now this instance can be used here, API client dot login, and on this login we can pass our email and the password. Okay, so once the user is logged in, we get the response. What we will do is we are going to set the user information as data dot user. All right, and then what I will do is we are going to return, and we are going to return the success as true and our user information, which will be data dot user. All right, but if this is not the case, then we're going to have the catch block. So I will have the catch and we will have the error here, and in the catch block let's have the console log. So we're going to have the console error, and I'm going to have the error, and we will just have the error here. And what we will do is we will return here if there is an error, so we need to return something. So in the case of an error, we are going to have the error as error, and if this error is instance of error, then in that case I will have my error dot message, and if not, then I will just have the login failed. All right, so we have this one. Then what we will do is we're going to also write the logout function. So this was pretty much for the login. I will come here and then I'm going to have a constant logout. This is going to be equals to the async. I'm going to have my arrow function, and in case of the logout, what I have to do is I'm going to have a try catch block. All right, and in the try, what we will do is we are going to have a constant response is equals to the await API client dot logout. We don't have to pass anything inside the logout. Then what we will do is we are going to simply have set user as null. After that, once we set the user as null, we want to take the user to the home page. So I will have the window location dot href, and this is going to be equals to the slash. And if there is any error, then in that case what I will do is I'm going to have the error, we're going to have the console error, and here we are going to have the logout error, and I'm going to have the error here. So I will have a comma and error here. Since we are not using any response, what I will do is I will just remove this and we will just keep it like this. Now the next function which I wanted to write here is this one has permission. So what I will do is I'm going to come here. I will have a constant has permission, and now this has permission will take the required role of type role, and this is going to return a boolean value. All right, so here what we will do is that if there is no user, then in that case we are going to return a false, because in order to check has permission you should be logged in, so you should always have a logged in user information. But if you don't have it, then you're going to return it as false. Now if that's not the case, then what I will do is I'm going to have a constant. I will use a role hierarchy, and I have already used a role hierarchy in this lib auth.ts. So if I go down, then this is the role hierarchy that we are going to use it. So I'm going to copy and I'm going to go to my auth provider, and here I'm going to paste it. Okay, so I have the role hierarchy, and then what I have to return from here is return that my role hierarchy user dot role is greater than equals to the role hierarchy of my required role. So role hierarchy of my required role. Okay, so we have the user, we have the login, and we have the logout, and we have the has permission. Now what we will do is, now another thing what we need to do is we have this login action. So we are going to append this login action here as a type. So I'm going to go here, and this will be of login action. Now the last one more thing we will do is we are going to make use of a use effect, and then we will have whenever our application is loaded and our component gets mounted, we are going to make use of a use effect and try to fetch the logged in user information. So what I will do is I will have a load user on mount. So whenever the component gets mounted. So let's use the use effect, and inside the use effect, what we will do is I'm going to have a constant load user. This will be equals to the async function. So I will have the async arrow function, and I'm going to have the try, and here I'm going to have the constant user data equals to the await API client dot get current user information. Okay, once I get the user data, I will do a set user, and I'm going to pass the user data information here. Okay, but if that's not the case, and if I get an error, so let me have the error, then I'm going to have a console dot error, and here I'm going to have failed to load user, and here I'm going to have the error. Okay, so I have this one as well, and in the end we need to make the call to this load user. So I will have my load user, and I only want it when the component is mounted, so only one time. All right, so we have this. Now if we want to use this, we will have also need to have a use context hook so that we can use it. So what I will do is I'm going to have the export constant use auth. This is going to be equals to an arrow function, and here I'm going to have a constant context. This is equals to the use context hook, and we pass our auth context here. Now here, if the context is equals to undefined, then in that case what we need to do is we will just throw error. I will use the backtick, and I will have that use auth must be used within an auth provider, and then we will just return the context. So I will have the return context. I'm going to do an export default of the auth provider from here. So I will have the default auth provider. All right, so we have this one. Now we can make use of the auth provider in our layout. So if I go to the layout, and in the main layout, what we can do is we can come here, and here we can have our auth provider. All right, and now we can pass this children inside this auth provider. All right, so we have this. Now for this one, if we hover it, okay, so we can have a null check as well, so we can have the null value. And for this one, what we can do is, so maybe this will be as unknown, and we can have a cast here as a user colon type user. All right, so we have this one already. Now here what I will do is I'm going to have a constant get current user, and we are going to get the current user, so we can just pass the current user to our header component. So I will have the user here. Now we go to the header component, and inside the header component we will have this user. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just remove this, and we can simply make use of this user. So I will go here, and we're going to have the user here. So now if I go back here, if I go here, and if I refresh it, then everything works as expected. Now the next part we want to do is we need to work on the login and the register pages, where we can do the login user, and we can also have a registered user page. So let's go and let's do that. So I'm going to close this. So here we have a problem. So what I will do is I will do a null check, and it should work fine now. So let's go back here, and what I will do is I'm going to go to my okay, so we will go to the app, and in the app we are going to create another group which will be for the auth, and inside this let's create a login first. Then I'm going to create another folder which will be register. For the login, I'm going to create login dot, oops, it should be page dot tsx, and for the register it will be again page dot tsx. First I will work on the register, and then we can just make use of the same for the login. So I'm going to have a layout as well. So I will come here, and here I'm going to have my layout for this auth. So I will have the layout.tsx. Now once I come here, what I will do is I'm going to have my constant auth layout, which is going to be an arrow function, and then I'm going to have the export default auth layout. Now this is going to accept the children, and these children will be of type react.react node. Now here what I will do is I'm going to return. So I will have the return, and I'm going to return a div. I will give the class name. This will be minimum height screen. Then I'm going to have the flex. I'm going to have the items center, I will have the justify center, padding on y-axis as 12, padding on x-axis as 4, for smaller devices padding on x-axis as 6, for large devices padding on x-axis as 8, and then we're going to have the background slate 950. All right, and inside this we can have our children. So let me have the children. So we have this one. Now let's go to the register page and let's work on that one. So for the register page, I'm going to have the constant register page, and this is going to be an arrow function. Now I need to create a register state like a login state we had. So I will have the export type register state, and this is going to be equals to, we are going to have the error, which is optional. I'm going to have the string, and the other one will be the success, which is also an optional, and it will be a type of boolean. Now here what we will do is I'm going to have a constant. We're going to get the state first, then we are going to get the register action, and then we are going to get the is pending state. So I will have the is pending, and this will be equals to the use action state. All right, now inside this, first we need to provide the callback function. So I'm going to have my async previous state, which will be register state. So I'm going to copy and I'm going to put it here, register state. Then I'm going to have my form data. So I will have the form data of type form data, and this is going to return a promise, and here I'm going to have my register state. So it's a very similar what we have done in our auth provider and for the login. So it's a very similar what we are doing it here. So we have this one, and then this is going to be an arrow function. Now inside this arrow function, what I will do is I'm going to have a constant name. So when you register a user, you will provide a name. So I will have the data dot get, I will have the name. So this will be a string. Next, I'm just going to copy for the email password. So I will have the email password and a team code. So I will have this email, this will get changed to email. This is going to get changed to password, and this is going to change to team code. So I will have a team code here, and I'm going to have a team code here. All right, so we have all these four. Once we have this, we're going to make a try catch and make an API call. So I'm going to have a try catch, and here I'm going to have the await API client dot register, and we need to provide the information like we will have the name, email, password, team code, will be team code, or it can also have an undefined value if you don't provide it. Now once you have this, what you want to do is after having the register, we will redirect the user to the dashboard, because we are also going to make him auto login once he register himself. So I'm going to have the href, and this is going to go to the slash dashboard. All right, and after that what we will do is we are going to return, and we will return the success as true. So we have this one. Now if there is an error and if it's a catch state, then in that case what we will do is we are going to have the error, and if this error is instance of error, then in that case we are going to have the error dot message, or we are going to have the registration field. All right, and we need to return this. So I will have the return, and we are going to put this inside that. So I'm going to cut it and I will put it here. But if this is not the case, then what we will do is we need to provide the initial state. So our initial state will be error as undefined. This is what we provided in our login as well, and the success as undefined. Now after that what we will do is we are going to create our JSX part. So I'm going to go here and I will have the return, and we are going to start with a div first. So let me have a div. I'm going to provide a class name to the div. So I'm going to have the background slate as 800, padding as 8, rounded as LG. Then I will give the border. I will have the border slate as 700, and I need a full width and max width for a medium device. Now after that what we will do is we are going to create our form. So we will have a form, and I want to give a action to the form. So I will have the action, and we are going to have the register action. Now inside the form I'm going to have a div where we are going to have the class name to the div as text, center, margin bottom as 8. Next we are going to create an h2, and in this h2 we are going to have the create new account. Let's provide some classes. So I will have a class as text to Excel. I'm going to have the font as bold, and then I'm going to have the text as white. Now if we go and check, then if I go here and if I click on register, then we have this register page, and we see that it is giving me an error that I'm using a use action state, and this is a React hook, only works in the client component. So what we do is I'm going to come here and we need to make this as a use client. So I will have a use client here. Okay, so it gives another error that the default export is not a React component. So if I go here, then I'm going to have the export default register page, and now we see that we have a create new account. If I go here and if I click on it, then we have this create new account form. So we need to create this form basically. So we have the h2 part. After the h2 we are going to have a paragraph tag. I'm going to give a class name to the paragraph tag, and this will be margin top as 2, text sm text slate 400, and inside this I'm going to have the or, and here I'm going to have a link, and on this link we are going to have the href, and this href will take me to the login, because if I already have an account then it's going to take me to the login. So here I'm going to have sign in to existing account, and let's give some classes here. So I will have the classes as font medium text blue 400. Then we are going to have a hover. So if I hover on it, then in that case I want to change the text blue 300. So we have that part. The next thing what we have to do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to have the error state. So if I have the state, and on the state we are going to have the error, then in that case what we will do is we are going to display it. So I will have a div, and I'm going to give a class name here as background red 950. I will have the border. I will have the border red 700. Then I'm going to have the text red 300, px as 4, padding on y-axis as 3. Then we are going to have the rounded, and I will have the margin bottom as 4. All right. And inside this what I will do is I'm going to have my state dot error. So if that's an error, then we are going to have that state dot error. But if that is not the case, then we will create our form. So our form will be we are going to have a div. I will have the class name as space y4, and then I'm going to have another div. Inside the div I'm going to have the label. This will be HTML for name, and then let's have some classes on the label. So it will be a block text sm. Then we're going to have the font as medium. We're going to have the text slate 300, and I will have the margin bottom as 1. And here I'm going to have the full name. All right, so we have that label. Now after the label we need to provide the input. So in the input I'm going to have my id as name. Then we are going to have the type. So the type will be text. I will have the name property as name, and then I'm going to have the autocomplete name. I will keep the field as required. We need to provide some classes, which I'm going to just copy paste, and then we need to provide a placeholder, and this will be enter your full name. I will just copy paste the classes. We'll copy, and I'm going to put it here. All right, so we have this one. Then we have the second one for the email. So I'm going to just copy this, and I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to change this to email. This will get changed to email. Then I'm going to change this to email. Text will also get changed to email. Name will get changed to email, and then auto complete will get changed to email. And here we are going to have the enter your email. So I will have the email. Okay, the next one is the password. So we are going to do a copy paste again, and this is going to be for the password. So I will have a password. I will have a password here. Then I'm going to change the id as password. Text will be as password. Name will be as password. Autocomplete, I'm going to change this to new password. And here we're going to have enter your password, or we can just have create a password. And then we're going to have this team code. So let me just do a copy paste again one more time. And this time I'm going to change this to team code. I'm going to change this to team code, and this is also an optional. So I will have a optional. Then we are going to change this. This is going to be team code, I'm going to copy. This is going to be a text. We will not have autocomplete, and we will have the required. No, I will just remove the required as well. And for the placeholder, I'm going to have the enter theme code if you have one. And below there, I will have a paragraph tag. And here I'm going to have a text as leave empty if you don't have a theme code. All right. And we can provide some class to this one. So I'm going to have text as XS, text slate 500, and margin top as 1. After the P, we have two divs. Before the form, I'm going to create a button, and this button will be of type submit. So I will have the submit. Then I will keep it disabled until I get the value. So it will be is pending. Then we need to provide some classes. And here what I will do is I'm going to have that is pending. If that's true, then in that case I will have a creating account dot dot dot. If not, then I will have a create account. I will just copy the classes. So I will copy and I'm going to put it here. All right, so now let's go and let's check. So if I go here and we can just give a try. So what I will do is I will do an inspect element. We'll go to the network tab and I will create a new user with maybe Ram. I will have ram@gmail.com. I will create the password and I will click on create account, and I see that we get an error. Name, email and password are required and not valid, and we see that we are passing this as a user data. And if I go here, then it is not expecting a user data. We just need to create a request payload, something like this. So maybe we did a mistake. So if I go back here, if I go to my client, so if I go to the client, and here I see that I have used the brackets, so I will just remove it. Okay, and now I can give a try. So if I go back here, I'm going to create ram again. I will have the ram@gmail.com. I will have my password, and now if I click on the create account, we go on the dashboard. That means the account is created successfully. We don't have any page for /dashboard, and we see 404. So that means our registration is working. We will see later on what the user we have registered once we create the dashboard page. Okay, so let's go back here. We can go to the register, and I think register is working fine. Now we can also go and work on the login part so that our auth will get complete. So what I will do is I'm going to copy the whole register. I will go to the login and I'm going to paste it here. Now I will start making amendments here. So what I will do first is we need to make this as a login state. Then we are going to make this as a login page. This is going to be login action. So I will have the login action. We will change this to login state, and we will also change this to login state. Okay, then we will only get the email and the password. So I will remove the name and the team code. After that, we need to make a API call. So I'm going to have here login, and we need to just pass the email and the password. So I'm going to remove these two. Now once we pass the email and the password, if it's a success, we'll go to the dashboard and we'll return it as a true. But if it's an error, then we are going to display the login failed. All right, then for the JSX part, we are going to have a very similar. So I'm going to change this to login action. So let me have a login action here. After that, we are going to have an h2 tag, and in the h2 we are going to change the text. So this is going to be sign into your account. Okay, after that we are going to have a /register here this time, and here we are going to have create new account, create a new account. After that, we are going to display the state, error and everything if there is any, and then we are only going to keep the email field and the password field. So I will have the email, then I'm going to have the password. I'm going to remove the team code. We don't want the team code. So we have the email and the password, and after that we are going to have the button submit. It will be disabled, and here we are going to change this to, so this is going to get changed to signing in, and this will get changed to sign in. So I will have the sign, and we're going to change this to login page. All right, so if I go back here, then if I click on sign into an existing account, then I go to sign into your account. And if I click on it, then we go. So we have the login and we have the registration both. For the login, we can give a try. So I'm going to have ram@gmail.com. I'm going to give the password. And if I go to the console, if I click on the login, then we see the login was 200 and it takes us to the dashboard. Although we don't see anything here because we are on a dashboard page, but our login is successful. All right, if I go back here, and we can also go and check here. So you see that if we have a post call to the login, we have a 200. So our auth part is completed. We have the login and a registration page, everything. So now next what we will do is we are going to work on the dashboard part. So if I go in the main, and here I'm going to create a folder with a dashboard. Now inside the dashboard, I'm going to create 3 more folders. One will be for the admin, another will be for the manager, and then one more will be for the user. So I will have the user here. Now for the dashboard, I'm going to create a page.tsx. So here what I will do is I'm going to create a constant. I will have a dashboard layout, and this is going to be an arrow function. All right, I'm going to make this as async, and here I'm going to have the export default dashboard layout. Now after this, what I will do is I'm going to first have a constant. I will take the user, and I can take the user from the get current user directly from the auth lib. So this is also possible. Now after this, what I will do is I will check that if we don't have a user, then in that case I want to redirect. So I will redirect the user to the /login, because you are not logged in and you cannot go to the dashboard. But if this is not the case, then what I will do is I'm going to redirect based on user role. And here what I will do is I'm going to have a switch statement. I will have the user dot role. So I see that we have a problem here, so I will have to make it as a wait. All right, so now if I go here, user dot, we're going to have the role, and then what we will do is if we're going to take the role from the types, and if the role is admin, then in that case what we need to do is we need to redirect to the /dashboard/admin. all right, but if that is not the case, so I'm going to copy and I'm going to put it, and if this is a manager, then in that case I want to redirect it to the manager, and if that is also not the case, so I will just remove the breaks. Then I'm going to copy, I'm going to go here, and if it's a user, so I'm going to have the user, then I'm going to redirect it to the user, and in the default case we will just redirect it to the user. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to have it here. All right, so I have this one. Now we also have the /dashboard/admin because we already have this. So let me create those pages. So I'm going to go here, I will have the page.tsx. For manager, I'm going to go here, I will have the page.tsx. For user, I'm going to go here, I will have the page.tsx. Now we will first start with the admin part, and I'm going to create a constant. I will have the admin page, and this is going to be a arrow function. We can make this as an async, and here I will have the export default admin page. All right, now what we will do is first let's have a constant. We will have the user, so let's have the user await get current user. Now once we have the current user information, what we will do is that if we don't have a current user, and then check user permission. So I'm going to have the user, and we need to give the role which want to check. So if I want to check that if he has an admin role. Now once we check this, what we do is if there is a problem and it doesn't have enough permission, we are going to take it to an unauthorized page. Right now we don't have any unauthorized page, but we are going to create that. All right, now once we have this, that you have enough permission to access this page, what we will do is we are going to fetch the data for admin dashboard. And for that, what we will do is I'm going to have a constant, and then what we will do is we are going to get the Prisma users, and we are going to get the Prisma teams. So I'm going to change this to Prisma teams, and this is going to be equals to a wait. Let me have the promise dot all. And basically we are trying to fetch the data from the server, and since we are using this and not using the APIs, because this is a server component and not the client component. So what we will do is, let's have the Prisma dot user, and we need to have find many, and we want that whenever we have the information about the user, we will also need to include the information about the team. So I'm going to make this as true. All right, now after this, what we will do is we need to order by, and we will be having a order by at created at, and let's have the descending order. Okay, after the order, what we will do is we also need to have the teams. So I will have the Prisma team dot find many. So we are fetching both the teams as well as the users. And here what we will do is we are going to include what values we need to include for the members. So for the users, so I will have the select the ID of the user, then name of the user, then role of the user, and then you need to have the email of the user. So I will have these two. All right, so now we have this one, we get the users and we get the teams. Now what we will do is we are going to pass it. So I'm going to do a return, and I'm going to return it to a admin dashboard. All right, right now we don't have an admin dashboard, we will create it. So we will be passing the users first to it. So this will be Prisma. So I will just copy this, and I'm going to put the Prisma users, and then I'm going to have the teams, and then I'm going to have the current user. So current user is the user, which we have it here, and then we have the Prisma teams. So I'm going to put the Prisma team as here, and we don't have the admin dashboard, which we will create it. All right, I made a mistake, so I will cut this and I will put it inside the function. So we have the admin dashboard. Now similarly, we will have information for the manager as well. So what I will do is I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go to the manager here. I will paste it here, and I'm going to make the changes. So this is going to be manager page. I'm copy, and I'm going to change this to manager page. Now after that, we are going to have the current user, and we will also have to check the permission. After that, what we will do is we are going to have the Prisma. So here I'm going to have the fetch managers own team members. All right, so here what I will do is I'm going to have the constant Prisma my team members. So we need to fetch the team members of the manager, and this is going to be user dot team ID. And if this is true, in that case, what we will do is we are going to have the Prisma users dot many, and if that is false, then in that case what I will do is I'm going to just remove this for now. Okay, so here what we will do is that if user dot team ID, if there is a team ID, then in that case Prisma user find many, and we will provide a where clause here. So what I will do is we are going to go here, and I will have the where, and inside the where we are going to have that we need to get this team ID should be matches to the user dot team ID, and if it matches, along with that we need to find that we don't need to get the user which has a role of admin. So I will have the role dot admin. Okay, and along with that I will also use the include. So we need the team's information as well. I will just remove this, we don't want this now. And if that is not the case, then we will have just the empty. All right, so this is for the Prisma my team members. Now similarly, we will also need to fetch all the team members of a cross team view, but we need to exclude sensitive fields. So for that, what I will do is I'm going to go to the admin, and I made a big blunder here. So what we need to do is for the users, so I will just cut it and this go into the admin page. And now for the managers, what I will do is I'm going to just copy this again, and this time we will fetch all team members cross team view, exclude sensitive fields. So what I will do is we are going to copy it again. I will have the Prisma all team members is equals to, I'm going to remove this, and this will be prisma.user.many. Now here we will just remove this where clause because we need all the users, but we don't need users which has a admin role. All right, then we will have the include, and in the include we are going to have the team, and let's have what information we need for the team. So I'm going to select, and I will need the ID which is true, then I will need the name which is true, then I will need the code, I'm going to make it true, and then I will need the description which will be true. All right, so we have this Prisma all team members, and I'm going to just remove this. So if we go here and if we just check, so let me log in here with a admin@company.com, and the password will be password123. Now if I sign in, then we see that these are the views that a admin has. And let me go and log into a manager view. So if I go to the manager view, so let's log in with the Bob and let's see how it looks. So if I go back, if I log in, if I go here, I will have the Bob@company.com. Then you see that the manager has two different views. This is the manager's team. Bob and Alice, they are in the same team, but you will see that you also see the other users. So that is what the view we are trying to fetch. We are trying to fetching all the members as well for the cross team. So if we go back here, and along with that, what we need is we go here and let's have the order by. So I will have the order by, and here I'm going to have the team ID, and I would need it as a descending order. So we have this one. Now this is going to get changed to a manager dashboard, and in the manager dashboard what we are going to pass is I'm going to pass first the my team members. All right, and for my team members I'm going to have the my, so I will go here and I will have the Prisma my team members, and then for the other one I'm going to have the all team members, and I'm going to copy this Prisma all team members, and then we have the current user. So this is also done. Now the last we will do is for the user. So I will go to the user. All right, and here I will just do a copy paste of the manager to the user. So I will go here, I will have a copy paste, and this is going to be user page. In the user we are going to get the current user, and then if there is no user, then we are just going to redirect the user to login. All right, and then we will fetch the user specific data. All right, we will have the team members of the user. So we are going to have the user ID, Prisma user find many, where we want this. If the ID matches, then we need those users, and then we will just select some information of the user. So I will have the ID as true, name of the user as true, email as true, and role as true. And if that's not the case, then we will have the empty. We will just remove this. We don't want it anymore. And then instead of this manager dashboard, we are going to have the user dashboard, where for the users we are going to have the team members, and we will have the current user. So I will just remove this as well, and we will have the team members. So I'm going to put the team members here, and this is going to be a user page. All right, so we have fetched all the information and everything. Now the last part we need is to create all the three components for the user dashboard, for manager dashboard, and for the admin dashboard. So if I go here, then we have the admin dashboard. So I will just close everything for now. All right, so now let's go to the components folder, and inside the components folder what we will do is we are going to create a new folder. So I will go here, I'm going to create a new folder as dashboard, and inside the dashboard I'm going to create the admin dashboard. So I will have the admin dashboard.tsx. all right, so first let's work on the admin dashboard. So if I go here and if I log out, and if I go to the login, if I log in as admin@company.com, password 123, then this is how the admin dashboard looks like, and this is what we need to build now. All right, so let's go and let's build it. So if I go back here, then the first we will do is this is a component. So this is going to be a client component, and here we will be having an interface first. So let me have an interface, admin dashboard props. I'm going to make it camel case dashboard props, and this is going to be we are going to get the users, which is going to be a user array. Then we are going to have a teams, which is going to be a team array. So I'm going to have an array here, and then we are going to have the current user, which is going to be a type of user. Now if I go to the admin page here, then we have a very similar information. All right, now after that what we will do is I'm going to have a constant. I will have the admin dashboard, and this is going to be equals to an arrow function. After that I'm going to have the admin export. So I will have the export default admin dashboard, and here we are going to get the users, we're going to get the teams, and we are going to get the current user, and the type of them will be the dashboard props. All right, now if I go to here, then let's import it. So I'm going to have the admin dashboard. All right, if I go here, then I see an admin dashboard, and here if I go, then admin dashboard cannot be used as a JSX component. So if I go here, then what I will do is I'm going to simply just return something. All right, and here now we see that we have a user information and there is a problem here. So the type is incompatible. We have the teams where the type is incompatible. So what we can do is, since we are getting this user from the Prisma has a lot of additional information. We need to make, or we need to convert this user into a front-end specific user so that we can make use of it here. So how we can do that is I'm going to go to let me go to the lib folder, and I'm going to create a utility here. So I'm going to have the util.ts. Okay, and in the util.ts, what I will do is I'm first simply going to import the team and a user from slash. We are going to have the types. Now after this, we are going to have a simple transformation. So I'm just going to copy paste this function and I'm going to explain you what this transformation function is. It's not so important. So this transform user, what it will expect is it is going to get a user, and once you get a user, it is going to get some information of that user, and then it's going to return it back. Similarly, this is for transform user, and this is for transform users. This is for transform team, and this is for transform teams. All right. So this is a very simple thing. We are just fetching some values and we are just going to transform the function that will handle the actual Prisma response. All right, so now let's go to the admin dashboard. So I'm going to go to the admin page first. So let me go to the admin page, and inside the admin page, what I will do is here, I'm going to transform it. So I'm going to have a constant users equals to transform users, and in this I'm going to pass the Prisma users. All right, and similarly I'm going to have the constant teams, and this is going to transform teams, and here I'm going to pass the Prisma teams. So I'm going to go here, and this is a Prisma team, so I'm going to pass that Prisma teams, and now I can pass this user here, and I can pass this team here. Okay, so now there is no complaints here. Now let's go to the dashboard, and in the dashboard what we will do first is let's create a constant, and I will have the is pending, and we will use the use transition hook. So I will have the use transition, and this is going to be equals to the use transition. Okay, I'm going to have the constant handle team assignment, and this is going to be equals to the arrow function. So let me create an arrow function, and then we are going to have async, and here we are going to have a argument. So first argument will be you will need a user ID of type string and the team ID for which you want to assign it. So you will have the team ID that is also of type string. Okay, now after that what you will do is you will do the start transition because you want to make an API call here. Okay, so I will have an async, you're going to have an arrow function, and now let's have a try catch block. So in the try, what I will do is I'm going to have the await API client dot, we will have the assign user to team, and then we are going to pass the user ID and we're going to pass the team ID. Okay, after this is done, we're going to have the window location dot reload. So we will just reload the page. All right, but if there is any error, that in that case what we will do is we are going to have the alert, and we are going to have the error instance of error, then we will have the error dot message, or we are going to have the error updating team assignment. All right, so this is done, and the next thing what we will do is we are going to create a function to handle the role assignment. So what I will do is I will go here, and here I'm going to create a constant, and I will have the handle role assignment, and this is going to be a arrow function. So let me have an arrow function, and I'm going to make it as async. Now when we do the role assignment, what we need is we need the user ID for which we need to assign the role, and we also need the role that we want to assign. So it will be a new role here, and I will make this as a type of role. Okay, and after that what we can do is we can have that if the user ID is equals to we have our current user dot ID, then we want to prevent, we don't want the user to change their own role. So what we will do is we are going to just have an alert, and we will have you cannot change your own role. We will just return from here, and if this is not the case, then we will just have a try catch block to do the API call. But before having try catch block, what we will do is we are going to use this start transition. So I'm going to copy this and I will go here and I will just paste it here. Okay. And in the start transition, the method will be to update user role. And here you pass the user ID and you pass the role. So I will have my new role. And once it is done, what we will do is we are going to do the window.location, reload the page. Then we are going to have the error and everything is the same. Okay. So we have both our function to handle the team and to remove a user from the team. So you're going to have the same function. And the other one is the handle role assignment, where we will be able to assign a role to the user. So right now this is the dashboard of the admin and it's empty. So let's go and let's work on it. So we are going to make this one admin dashboard and then we're going to have these tables. So I will go back here and here I will first start with a div. So let me have a div, and to this div I'm going to give a class space y6. So this is going to provide me the space. Then I'm going to have another div, and inside that I will have the h1 tag, which will be my admin dashboard. Now to this I'm going to give some classes so that it will look a little bit nice. So I'm going to have the text to XL, then I'm going to have the font as bold, margin bottom as 2, then we are going to have the text white. Now after this, in the h1 we will also have a small paragraph to give some description. So here I'm going to have user and team management. We can provide some classes here. So I will have the classes as text slate 300. So the color of the text will be changed. Now after that, what we will do is we are going to have another div and we are going to give a class name. So we're going to create a grid. So I will have the grid. For medium device, I'm going to have the grid column 2, and then let's have the space. So I will have the grid space as 6. Now inside this, what we will do is first we need to create this table and then we need to have this table for the user and the teams. I'm going to have here user table with role and team assignment. Okay. Now once I have this, there will be another one, the other table, which will be the teams table. So here we are going to have the teams table. Okay, now let's go and let's work on this one first. So here I'm going to create a div and we are going to have a classes here. So I'm going to have my background slate 800. After that, we will need to have a border. Then I will have my border color, which will be slate 700. And we are going to have the rounded -lg. Now inside this, what I will do is I'm going to create another div and I will have the classes to that div as padding 4. We are going to have a border -b, then we are going to give the border color, so border slate 700. Now inside this div, what we will do is we are going to have the h3 tag, which is going to display the user. So I'm going to have the users, and then we will also display the length of the user. So for that, what I will do is I'm going to have my brackets, and inside this I'm going to have the users dot length. Okay, and we can give some classes to this h3 as well. So I will have the class as font semi bold, and then we can give the color. So color would be the white for the text. Now after the h3, we are going to have a paragraph tag, and I'm going to give some classes to this paragraph tag as text slate 400 and text as sm, and the content will be manage roles and team assignment. I'm just going to make this as uppercase. Okay, if we go and check, then this is our, and this is how we see the users. The length is 12, and then below that we have this manage user roles and team assignment. Okay, once we have this, we need to create a table now. So what I will do is I'm going to have a div. Let's give some classes. So I'm going to have the padding as 4, and inside that I'm going to create a table, and for the table I'm going to give the class name as width. I want it full width, and the text will be sm. Then inside it we are going to create a table head. For the headings, inside the table head we are going to create the row, and we can give some classes to the row. So I'm going to give the class as border bottom and the color. So I will have the border slate as 700. Now we need to create all the table heads. So I'm going to have th, and on the th we can have the class. So let me have the class as text. We want as left, padding on y-axis as 2, and we're going to have the color, so text slate as 300, and I'm going to have the name here. So we have the name, role, team, and action. So let's have all those 4. So I'm going to have the name. I'm going to just copy and put it for the other. So we are going to have the name. I will have the role, then we are going to have the team, and the last one is the actions. Okay, so once I have this table head, I need to create my table body. So I will have the table body, and inside the table body we have the users, so we can just loop through it. So what I will do is we're going to have the users, let's map on it, and we are going to get a individual user. Then I'm going to give an arrow function, and then inside that what we will do is we are going to create a row first, and let me have a key. So we need to give a unique key for every row. So I'm going to have my user.id as a unique. Then we're going to give some classes. It will be border bottom, border slate. We give the color. Okay, and then inside that we are going to create the td, and let me have a class there. So I'm going to have the padding on y-axis as 2, and I will have the text slate 300 color. Okay, now inside this td what we will do is I'm going to have a div, and on this div we can have the, so if I go here and if I come here, then we have this name and everything, but here we need to create this initial of the person name, and then we need to have his email address and the name. This is what we are going to create it now. So I'm going to go here, and here let's create a flex so that we can have a alignment properly. So I'm going to have the flex, I'm going to make the items as center, and then let's have the space x as 2. Now inside this we can have a div, and I'm going to give some classes to this div. So I will have my class name here, and I will just do a copy paste on the classes. So I will copy and I will put it here. Okay, so in this what we will do is we are going to have our user dot name, and then we will just use the character at to get the first character. So I'm going to get the character of my 0th index, and then I will just make it as 2 uppercase. Okay, so that's where we will be able to see the name of the users. So all the name of the users, so you see Ram, Rohan, and you will see a very similar here R and everything. Okay, so once we have this, the next what we want is we want to display the name and the email. So I will have the name here, so I will have the user dot name, and below the name we will have the email address. So I'm going to copy this, put it here, and I will have the user dot email, and let me give a class to it. So I'm going to have the text slate as 500, and the size will be smaller, so I will have the text xs. Okay, so this td is done. Then we will have the next td. So if we go here, then we have the name and everything is displaying here. The next is we want to display the role. So if I go here, so role is a kind of a drop down which we need to make. So we need to make a select here. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to have the another td, and I will give the class as py2. Now inside this td we need to have a select, then I'm going to have the value to the select. So the value would be the user dot role. Then after that I'm going to have an on change to it, and the on change I'm going to have the event, and this is going to be whenever you change it, you're going to make call to the handle role assignment. So you're going to assign the role. Okay, and to this role assignment what we need to pass is, first we need to pass the user.id, and the second we need to pass the role that we want, and the role value we will get it from the event.target.value, whichever value you are selecting. All right, and we can just cast this as a role, and I will just close it. Next we are going to make use of a disabled, and this will prevent the current user to change the role. So I will have the is pending, and if this user id is triple equals to current user dot id. Okay, now after this what we will do is we are going to set some classes so that it looks a little bit nice, and I will just do a copy paste on the classes part. So we have the classes as well, and after that what we will need is this is a select statement, so we need to have the select closing. All right, and in this between we are going to have the options. So I will have the option. Okay, and on the option we are going to have the value. So our value would be role dot user, and here it is going to be user. Okay, so I will just copy and put all the roles. Next one will be role admin, and this is going to be admin, and the third one will be the manager, and this is going to be manager. Okay, so we have this select and drop down and everything. All right, let's go and let's check. So if I go here, then we see that we have the user, admin, and manager, and for everything. All right, now if we go back here, the third column we need is the teams from which the user belongs to which team. So for that what we will do is we are going to have another td, and we are going to have the class name. So it will be similar py2. Okay, and what I will do is I'm going to use the same select statement because it is going to be very similar. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put it here. Okay. Now inside this select, we will have the value, and this time the value will be team ID. And if it's not, then we're going to have an empty. And then here, instead of the handle role assignment, I'm going to have the handle team assignment. I'm going to pass the user ID, and then I will have the event.target.value as, and here I'm going to, if there is a value, then we pass the value. If not, then we just pass the null. Okay, and it is complaining. So what we will do is we will go up and add that null value as well. So this was the team ID. So team ID can be a string or it can also be a null. Okay, now it's complaining here. So here also we are going to have that if it's there, then it will come, otherwise it will be a null value. All right, so now let's go back here, and we have this one. After that, what we will do is we will have this, if it's a pending, then we'll keep the button as disabled. Then we will have the classes for the drop down, and for the option, what we will do is we need to loop through the option, and I will first delete these two, we don't want them. And I'm going to have the option dot value, I will just keep it as empty, and I will have no team. If a user is not assigned to any team, then we're going to have the value as no team. Otherwise, what we will do is we are going to have our teams. So let's map through it and get all the team names. So I'm going to have a individual team, then I'm going to have the arrow function, and here what I will do is we are going to create the option dynamically. So I will have the option, we need to provide a key to the option, so that will be a team dot id, and we will have the value. So the value will be team dot id, and whatever we want to display, the display will be the team name. So I'm going to have the team dot name. Okay, so we have this. Now we have the select as well. Okay, so let's go and let's check. So we have the team and everything. Now here, if we go and check, then what we do is we also display the team name here as well, whatever the team code is basically. So we can display that as well. So I'm going to go back here, and next to the select, what I will do is I'm going to have the user dot team. If it's there, then in that case, what we will do is we are going to have a span, and I'm going to give some classes to that span. And here we are going to have the text XS, and then I'm going to have the text color, which is the text slate 500, and let's give the team code here. So I'm going to have the user dot team dot code of the team. Okay, so we have the user team code as well. Now we are just done with this TD as well, and the last TD is for the action. So let me have the TD. I'm going to have the class py as 2, and here what I will have is I'm going to have the button for removing the team for a user. So I'm going to have the user dot team ID. So if a user has a team and a team ID, then in that case, what we can do is we can just remove that team for that user. So I'm going to have a button, and on the button, I'm going to have the on click. On the on click, what we will do is we are going to call the same function, which is the handle team assignment, and we need to pass the user ID for which we need to remove the team. And then the team ID can be null because we don't want to assign it to any team. So this is null. I'm going to have the disabled. This is going to be is pending, and after that what we will do is we are going to have some classes. So I will just do a copy paste on the classes. All right, and we need to give some label or a name to the button. So I'm going to have a remove as the button name. Okay, so we have the TD done, then we have the TR, and we have the table is complete. All right, after that we have these divs, and then we can just have the same thing for the teams table. So what I will do is for the teams table, we can just do a copy paste. So what I will do is I'm going to copy, and I'm going to put it here as well. Okay, and here we need to remove few items which we don't want it. So the first what we will do is we will keep this. Instead of user, we are going to have teams this time, and instead of this users, we are going to have the teams dot length. Then here we are going to have the information as team overview. All right, and after that we are going to have the table. We are going to have the table head, and for the heads we're going to have the name, we're going to have the code of the team, then we are going to have the members, and then we are going to have the managers for the team. So I'm going to have the managers here. Okay, we have the table body. So what I will do is I'm just going to remove this. Okay, now in the table body, what we will do is we are going to have our teams, and let's apply a map on that. And in this, we are going to get an individual team. And here what I will do is I'm going to have my constant, and we're going to have to extract all the team members. So I will have the team members, And to extract the team members, we are going to make use of the users dot filter, and we are going to get the individual user, and this is going to be an arrow function. So we will have the user dot id should match with the team dot id. Okay, so we'll take that all the team members. Now from these members, we need to extract the team managers. So what we will do is we are going to have the team managers. So I'm going to have the managers, and for the team managers, we are going to take the team members, and we need to filter only for the team managers. So we are going to have the if user role is equals to role dot manager. So let's have the role dot manager. All right, so we have extracted them, and then what we will do is we are going to return a JSX from here. So let's return a JSX, and in the JSX what we will do is first we're going to make a row, and let me have a class name to this row. So I'm going to have the border bottom. I will have the border color slate as 700, and here I'm going to give the key. So the key would be team ID. So let me have the team ID. Okay, now in this we need to create the TD. So we will have our TD, and if we go, then our TD will be like operations code, then how many members we have in that team, and then who is the manager of that team. So I'm going to have the first one, and here let's give the classes. So I'm going to have the class py as 2, then we are going to have the text slate as 300, and we are going to have the font as medium, and inside this we can just display our team dot name. Okay, so we have the team name. Now let's create the another TD. Now in the another one, what we will do is we are going to have the py as 2. I'm going to just remove this, we don't want it, and here I'm going to create a span, and inside the span we are going to have the team dot code. Now we need to give some class to this span because this has a different styling. So I will just do a copy paste of the style. Okay, so if I go, then we will have the operations, we now have the code. Let's have the members and the manager. Okay, so for the next TD, if I go here, I'm going to have the another TD, and I will just do a copy paste of the classes. So I'm going to do this copy, and I'm going to put it here. I have to give the class name. So here we'll get the class name, and what value it will come here is we need to have the members. So the number of the members. So I will go back here, and here we are going to have the members. So I will have the team member dot length, and then we're going to have the users. So we will have one user, two users, something like that. And then let's have the last TD. So in the last TD, if I go, then we need to loop through all the managers. So I'm going to have team member dot length. If it's greater than 0, then we need to display something else, we display something else, and then we close it. Okay, so now if it's greater than 0, first let's do the else part. What we will do is we are going to have a span, and on the span we are going to have a class name as text slate 500, and we will have the text extra small, and the value would be that there are no managers for this team. Okay, but if that is not the case, then in that case what we will do is we are going to create a div, and we forgot the question mark here. So here we are going to have a div. Let's have a class as flex wrap, and I'm going to have a gap as 1. So basically here we are going to create this Sarah, Bob, marketer, and all this information. Now we just have to loop through the managers. So I'm going to have a team managers dot map, that is going to give me an individual manager, and inside this I will have the span, and what I will do is I'm going to give some classes to this span. So I will just do a copy paste. So this will be very similar what we have it for the team code. So we have the classes, and after that what we will do is we also need to provide a key. So I will have the key as manager dot id. Okay, and here the value would be manager name. So I'm going to have the manager dot name. Okay, and we can also give the title. So I will go here, and I'm going to have the title as manager name. Okay, let's go and let's check. So if I go here, then we see that we have this all the members and everything, and here we see that we have no manager. That means we have no manager, but something is wrong, not correct, because here if you see that Sarah is a manager and she is in the operation. So we should see here the name as Sarah, and we also should have the members. So if I go here, this is a team ID, and team ID can never be equal to the user ID. So this has to be user team ID should be equal to the team ID. And now if we go and check, then we should be able to see, we see that we have the Sarah, we have the Bob Marketer, Alex, and we have the John. So we have this one ready. Now the next what we need to do is we need to go here and we need to display this demographics. So what we will do is let's go and create that one first. So I'm going to go here and I will close this as well, and I will come here and I'm going to have a stats here. And to create stats, what I will do is let's have a simple div and let's give some classes to this div. So we need to create a grid. So we have the 4 columns like, or 5 columns there. So I will have the grid. We are going to have the grid calls 1. Then for the medium device, we are going to have the grid column 5, and then we're going to have the gap between the columns. So I will have the gap as 4. Now inside this we are going to have another div, and we are going to have the classes to that div as background slate 800. We're going to have the border, let's have the border slate 700 color, and then we're going to have the rounded hyphen LG, and after that we are going to have the padding as 4, and then we're going to have the text as center. Okay, so we have this box created, and inside this box this is the first box we created, which is for the total user. So inside this box what we will do is we are going to have a div. I'm going to have a class name, text as 2XL size, then we need the font bold and the text color as white. Okay, now once we have that, we are going to use the users length. So I'm going to have the users dot length, and then we're going to have a very similar for the content. So I'm going to have copy, I will put it here, and this time I want the size as small, I don't want font bold, and I want a different color. So I will have the text slate as 400 maybe. Okay, and this is going to be equals to the total users. Okay, so if we go and check, then here we have the total users. Now the another one is the admin. So we have only one admin, we have total 4 managers, which we can see it here, and we have the 7 users. Users means that those who are not managers, and then we have 3 teams. So let's go and let's repeat this. So I'm going to copy, put it here, put it here, put it here. So the first one was the total user, then we're going to have the admin here. So we are going to have the admins. After admins we are going to have the managers. After managers we are going to have the users, and then we are going to have the last one as teams. So I'm going to copy again, and this time it's going to be a teams. Okay, so for the teams you need to have a teams length. So I'm going to have teams length. For users, who are the users, we need to add a filter here. So what we will do is we need to do users dot, we need to filter them, and we need to take all those users who are not manager. Okay, so I'm going to have the u as a user inside that. Okay, so if the user dot role, and if that role is equals to the, so I'm going to have the user equals to the role dot users dot length. Okay, so I have some problem here. So this is going to be this one, and here it will be round bracket. Then here we are going to have all the managers. So I'm going to copy, and I want the user role should be manager. Okay, and for the admin we just want the user role should be admin. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to put it here, and I want the user role should be admin. Okay, let's go and let's check. So we have here a very similar, we have 12 users, 1 admin, 4 managers, 7 users, and then we have 3 teams. Now if we want to test this as well, okay, I don't see a space here. Let's go and let's fix that. So I will go here up for the users, and then I'm going to go down for the select. Okay, so I'm going to close this, and we have the users. In order to get a space between them, I'm going to simply have a div. I'm going to give some classes to it. Let me have the flex. I'm going to have the items center, and I will need a space x2. Now inside this div, I can just put my select and the code. So I'm going to cut and I'm going to add it here. Now if I go, then we can see that we have the space here. Let's give a try. So I have a Ram here, and I want to make him as a manager, and I see we get a network error. So let me go and inspect element it. So I'm going to go and inspect, and if I go here and I see a network, now let me change it again to an admin, we get a network error. If I go here, then we see a 404. That means something, this problem with this URL. So I'm going to copy this. We have the API users. So let's go to the Visual Studio Code and let's go and check our API. Then we have the auth, and this is user, not users. So we had a mistake here. So what I will do is I'm going to go to my client, and in my client this I'm going to make it as user, and this will also get changed to user. Now let's go and let's give a try. Now if I want to make it as a manager, then we see that okay, he's got changed to manager, but he's not assigned to any team. So maybe I will assign him to the operations team. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to change this to operation. And now you see that as soon as I apply a operations here, the RAM value is here. So he's a manager now. And we have two members in this team and they both are manager. Now, if we go and check on the demographics, so here as well, so then you see now we have 5 managers because we have these 5 managers. Let me change this to user back. We change the user, this is removed from here, and we have 4 managers. So that means everything is working here. The stats are also getting updated, the teams is also getting updated, and you are also having this one. If I want to remove it, then I can just remove this and this will have now no team. So if I remove it, then you see no team, and here the count will also get increase. Okay, so our admin part is ready, and we see there is a problem that on the header we see a login and a register here. Instead of that, we should have seen logout here. So let's go and let's fix in the header part. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go to the headers part, and inside the headers we have the user and we have the null, we have the navigation and everything. So what I will do is I'm going to go down here, and here we see that if we have the user, then in that case, so maybe we did not fetch the user or something like that. So if I go up and if I do a console.log here, so I will have a console log and I will log the user. All right, if I go here and if I go to the inspect, if I go to the console, then we see null here. So that means in the headers we are not getting the user value. So let's go and let's fix. So for the header we give the user value from our pages. So if I go to the main, if I go to this page, not on the page, on the layout, so here we are going to have the, okay, so this is a server component. So what I will do is I'm going to just remove this and I'm going to use the get current user, and I'm going to make this as a wait. Okay, I will remove this. Okay, and now if we go and check and if I refresh it, then we see that we have the page as user, but we are also able to see the admin dashboard, but admin dashboard can only be visible to the user who is an admin. So we have something wrong. So what I will do is if I click on the logout, it is also not working. So let's go and let's check. So I'm going to go back here. If I go to the headers and if I go down for the logout, so I have this logout. So we need to give the on click on the logout. So here I'm going to have the logout, and this logout we can get it from the use auth. So I'm going to go up here. What we can do is we can have the constant and we take the logout from our auth provider. So I'm going to have the use auth. Okay, now let's use this logout here and let's go and let's check. So if I go here and if I click on the logout, then we see that now we have logged out. But you will notice that when you are logged out, you should not see the dashboard page. Okay, and even if you are seeing it, then you are going it to the login. So what I will do is now this time I'm going to log in with an admin @company.com and I'm going to give the password. Okay, so I have the password. Now let me click on login, and when I log in I see that it is a Dipesh user. So maybe I have given a hard-coded value. So let's go and let's fix that. So I'm going to go here and we have the team access, then we have the navigation bar. After navigation bar we have the logout, and here you will see that I have given a hard-coded value. So what I have to do is here I'm going to have the user dot name, and then I'm going to have the user dot role. Okay, and I will just have a brackets here so that it looks little nice. All right, so I have this one. Now if I want to log out, then I can just click on the logout and we are logged out. If I go on the dashboard, it will take us to the login page. Now maybe we log in with another user who is a manager. I will have a bob @company.com and the password. So let's log in. Then we see that this is the view of the bob, how the bob will look like. He is a manager and he has his own team who has 2 members, and these are the team members of other teams or the cross team members. All right, so let's go and let's do that. So right now if I go back here, we have the dashboard, but we only have the admin dashboard. So let's create the manager dashboard as well. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to create a new file, and this will be manager dashboard.tsx. I will also create the user dashboard. So I will have the user dashboard.tsx. Okay, now for the manager, we are going to get the data from the pages. So if I go here and if I go here, then this is the data that we are going to pass. So I'm going to go to the manager, and here also what we will do is we are going to do the same thing what we did it for the admin. So if I go to the admin, then here also you see that we have this one. So we are just going to copy this. We go to the manager, and in the manager we are going to have the same thing. So this is going to get changed to my team members. So I'm going to copy and put my team members, and this will be all team members. And here I'm going to change this to copy. I will put it here, and I'm going to put it here. All right, now I can just use this one. So I will have it here, and for this one I'm going to copy and I will put it here. Now we need to get this transform users. So I'm going to have the transform users, and this will also be transform users. So I'm going to have the transform users, and what we can do is we can make use as a user array, and this will also as user array. All right, so we will see this later on why we are getting this error, but before that let's go and let's get the manager. So I'm going to have the export default function, and I'm going to give the manager dashboard, and let me create the interface as well, what the values we are going to get it. So I'm going to go here and I'm just going to copy paste here. So I'm going to copy and I'm going to put it here, and this I'm going to change this to manager, and we are going to get the here it will be my team members, which is an user array. Then I'm going to have the all team members, which is also an user array, and then we're going to have the current user. I will just have the user imported, and this is also going to be a user. Okay, now here what I will do is we are going to have the prop. So I will have the my team members, I will have the all team members, and then I will have the current member, and all these are type of the manager dashboard props. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to put it here. Okay, so we have this one as well. Now after having this, what we will do next is we are going to have this function, and then we will just return the JSX from this function. So to return the JSX, first let's create a div. I'm going to give the classes to this div. I will have the space y as 6, and after that we are going to create another div. Inside that I'm going to have my h1 tag, and on this h1 tag I will have the manager dashboard. Okay, let me give some classes. I'm going to have the text to XL, then I'm going to have the font as bold. I will have the margin bottom as 2, and let's have the text as white color. Okay, after that what we will do next is we are going to have a paragraph tag, and here we are going to have the team management view, and I'm going to have a classes as text slate 300. Okay, so we have this one. After that what we will do is we are going to have another div, and I will have the class name. We're going to create a grid. So I will have the grid medium devices. I'm going to have the grid calls 2, and then I'm going to have the gap as 6. All right, inside this what we need is first will be the team members, and the second one will be my team members. Okay, and on this one we are going to create a div, or maybe what I can do is I can just copy paste the JSX part, which then I can just give you a walkthrough of it. So we will go here, and here what we will do is we have a simple JSX and everything to look it nice. We give it team members, and then we use the all team members length. Then we just map through all the team members and take an individual member, and then we display the member name, the member email, its role, and in which team it belongs if it's available. If we go and check, so if I go back and if I log in with a Bob, so I will have the @company.com, I will have the password, and if I click on sign in, then it takes me to an unauthorized page, which is a little bit strange. Let's go and let's check. So I will go here and I will go on my pages, and on my pages I will go to this page first, and on this page it will redirect me to the admin, to the manager. So it's not redirecting me to /manager, and if I go to the here, then here I have this permission, so it's not unauthorized. If I go here, then this should be manager, otherwise this is going to throw me to an unauthorized, because my permission will always be a manager and not the admin. So if I go here, if I go back, and this time if I log in with the Bob @company.com, I will have my password. Then you see that we have a dashboard and we have the manager. So this time it's taking me properly to the manager, although we are getting an error, which is a different thing. we will fix that. So we have a transform user and we have the users.map transform here. Okay, so let's go and let's check. So if I go here, okay, if I scroll down, then we see we get an error here. So let's see where I'm getting this. So this should be user.id Prisma users. Okay, so first mistake is we need to put an await here. All right, and then here also we should put await. Okay, it's an async. All right, and then if we go, then now we see we don't have any errors here. We also see that we haven't imported manager dashboard. So now think everything is fine here. If I go back here, so we still see an error. If I do this one, then I see that unknown field order by for include statement of the model user. Okay, so here there is a problem, and what we can see is we have a user, then we have a include, inside the include we have a team, and then this one. So we should have one more which is closing the team. Okay, and then we should have this order. So I will just remove this and I will save it. So if I refresh it, we don't see any issue now. So we will do the same view here for the my team. So let's go and let's do that. So I will go back here, I will go to my dashboard, and in my dashboard what I will do is I will come here and I will do just copy paste for this one. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put it here. All right, and here for the team it will be my team, and this is going to change to my team members dot length. Okay, so once we have the h3, what we will do is we are going to have a div. Let's have a padding as 4, and we loop through all the members of my own team. So what I will do is I'm going to have a my team members dot map. This is going to give me an individual member. Okay, and then what we will do is we are going to have a div. I'm going to have a key as member dot id, and let's give some classes to this. So I'm going to have the border bottom, I will have the border slate 700, I will have the padding on y-axis as 2, then I'm going to have the last border bottom 0 for the last element. Okay, then I'm going to close this div. Now inside this div what I will do is I'm going to have a paragraph tag, and I'm going to give some classes to that. So the classes will be, I want font medium, my text color should be white, and we are going to display here the member name. So I will have the member dot name. Now after having the member name, the next what I want is the information about, so I'm going to just do a copy paste. So we're going to go here and we can just use this one. So I will copy and I'm going to use it here. Okay, so now if I go here, then we see that Bob and Alice, they both belongs to the marketing team. All right, so we have this view as well. The last one is the view for the user. So what we will do is we have this user dashboard. So let's create a JSX for this one. So this JSX is a very similar what we have it for the dashboard. So I'm going to copy this first. I will come here and I will put it here. Okay, now instead of the manager, this is going to be a user, this is going to be a user dashboard, and this is going to be a user. Okay, now we can just import this. So I will go here and I'm going to import the user dashboard, and on the user dashboard we pass the team members. So I will go here and I will have the team member, and the other one what we pass is the current user. So I will copy and I'm going to go to the current user. So I'm going to just remove this. Okay, and if we go back here, there is a problem with team members. So what we can do is we have this team members as user array, and if we go here, then we're going to have this team member. So let me put the team member here and I'm going to remove this. Okay, so we cannot find the user, so let me import it. So we have the user member. All right, so now we don't see any error here. We have some unwanted imports, so let me remove them. Okay, and on the user dashboard also we don't see any error. So once we have the user dashboard, what we will do first is we're going to have the space y, we will have the h1, and on the h1 we are going to have this as user dashboard, and below that what we will show here is we are going to show here welcome current user name. All right, and after that we are going to create a grid where I'm going to show you my team, and in the my team what we will do is we are going to have an h3, we're going to have my team members, then here we are going to have the team members length, then we are going to have a team members here. So let me have the team members, we get an individual member, we have a div, we put the member ID, we have the member name. We don't want to put this one, we just put the role. Okay, and then we will not having anything like this, so I'm going to just remove that. Okay, let's go and let's check. So if I go here, and this time if I try to log in with an ls, and let me give the password, and if I click on sign in, then we go to the user, that's good, but we get an error here, and the team members.map is not a function. So let's go and let's check. So I'm going to go here, and we see that this is not a function. And if I go, then we have the team members. We have the team members here as well. So what I will do is first, let me do a console here and check the team members. So I will have the console.log. I will have the team members to see whether we get the team members or not. So I'm going to refresh my page. I will go to the inspect element, and we have a problem at line number this one. So what I will do is I will just comment this out for now to see that whether I get the value or not. So I will comment this out, and now if I go and do an inspect, go to the console, then we see we have a user dashboard, and here we see a promise. So maybe we did a mistake here, and if I go here, then we see that we did not put an await here. Okay, and that was the problem. So if I go here now, and if I comment this, then let's give a try. So if I go here now you will see that you have the team members and we have the user. So if I log out, then now we will have all the three dashboards ready for the admin, for the manager, and for the users. So let's go and let's have the admin. I'm going to give the admin@company.com, and I'm going to have the password. Okay, and then we see that we have two members in the Bob marketers team. So we have two members. Let's add more members. So I'm going to go here. Okay, so I will just go and add so this is a marketing team. I'm going to add marketing. So we get 3 members. I'm going to make this as a marketing team. So we get 4 members. I'm going to make this to a marketing team. We get 5 members. And now if we go and check, so I'm going to log out. I'm going to log in as bob@company.com, and I'm going to give the password and login. And now you will see that we have all the members here, but this side here you will see that you also have the members of my own team. So Bob marketer, we have the Alice, Ajay, and now if we go and check for the Alice, so let's go and let's check for the Alice, what view Alice has. So I'm going to go to the dashboard. I will go to the Alice@company.com. I'm going to give a password, and if I see that we have the 5 members, let's go and let's create a new user. So I'm going to go here. I have a new user as test the page, or maybe I will simply create the page. I will have the page@gmail.com. I will have my password. I don't know any team, so I will just keep it as it is. And you see the user with this email ID already exists. So there is already a user with the page. So maybe I will change a name as Amit this time. I will have Amit. I will have amit@gmail.com, and I'm going to give a password. So password will be 12345 and I'm going to create. Okay, right now you will see that this is the Amit's dashboard. Amit is not part of any team. Let's go to the admin and let's assign a team to Amit. So I'm going to go admin. I will have a company.com. I will put my password, and here we see we have a Amit who is a user, and we can make Amit into operations team. And we see that now Amit is a part of the operations teams, and we can also make Amit as manager. So we have the Amit as manager. Now if we log out and if we log in with an Amit, so we will have a different view for Amit. So amit@gmail.com. We're going to have the password of the Amit, and we see that this is Amit's team who has Sarah and Amit inside that team. They both are managers, and this is their team code, and these are all the other team members. All right, so this is a full stack project where you have your backend APIs in Next.js, and you also have your UI built using the Next.js 16. So this is an end-to-end project for the role-based access control where you can manage your teams and members. So I hope you like this video. A thumbs up is appreciated. You can also connect with me via Facebook or Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter for latest updates, and before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the channel or press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. Thank you. Thanks for watching.